Chapter 41. Are you still alive? Ling Feng sent a message to Lin Su. After receiving Ling Feng's message, Lin Su was so angry that she almost fainted. She hadn't eaten for 2 days. Now she was cold and hungry, curled up in bed, and had lost a lot of weight. It made people feel pity. Although she was almost starving, she still didn't ask Ling Feng for help. Her pride made her unable to let go of her self-esteem even when facing her favorite person. She took out her mobile phone with difficulty and typed a few words. "Thanks to you, I'm not dead." Looking at the message on the phone, Ling Feng breathed a sigh of relief. It would be a pity if Lin Su starved to death. Lin Su is a talent. Compared with her appearance, Ling Feng appreciates his ability more. Of course, appearance is also important. "Come downstairs of my house now." Seeing Ling Feng's message, Lin Su felt a little uneasy. She was smart enough to know what it meant after she went there. Others will not help you for no reason. She got up with difficulty, put all the medicine she had hoarded into her backpack, took a last look at her house, and walked out of her villa. The cold wind blew, and the heavy snow in the wind made her face hurt. She was dizzy after not eating for 2 days. She staggered forward in the snow. Fortunately, her villa was not far from Ling Feng's house. After walking for 5 minutes, she finally saw Ling Feng's villa. "Hold on, it's another 50 meters away." Lin Su cheered herself up silently in her heart. She only wanted to hurry on her way, and she didn't notice that there were 2 figures following her. Yang Tianwu and his son Yang Zi were looking at the woman who was moving slowly in front of them, with a bloodthirsty look in their eyes. These 2 people were none other than Yang Zihan's father and brother. The 2 originally wanted to come out to find food, but they didn't find anything to eat after walking for a long time. In fact, their family had only started to run out of food in the last few days. Originally, his precious daughter could have cheated a dog to eat, but the consumption of their family of 4 was too great. The dog stockpile was also eaten up by their family, and the dog himself was almost starving to death. The family had been hungry for 2 days, and finally there was really no other way, so they had to come out to find something to eat. Originally, they wanted to try their luck here in Ling Feng. Recently, they heard many people say that someone came here to move corpses back as food. The 2 of them also planned to take a corpse back, but they didn't expect to meet Lin Su, who was alone. "Follow her and take her back," Yang Tianwu said to his son Yang Zijing with a fierce face. Yang Zijing heard the meaning of his father's words and felt a little scared. Originally, he was very disgusted with his father's words about finding corpses. Now he asked him to catch a living person, and he was even more resistant. And this person's background seemed very familiar. "Dad, these are living people. What's wrong with living people? There's nothing to eat now. As long as you can survive, who cares so much? Why did I give birth to such a cowardly son like you? Men should be cruel when they should be cruel. Understand?" Yang Tianwu looked at Yang Zijing with a look of disappointment, and then pulled Yang Zijing to quietly follow Lin Su. Lin Su, who was on her way, seemed to have a feeling. The woman's sixth sense told her that danger was approaching. He turned around suddenly and saw the 2 people who were quietly approaching him, less than 20 meters away from him, and the 2 were still approaching him quickly. Soon they were only 10 meters away from him. It was obvious that the 2 were coming for him. "Stop!" Lin Su forced herself to cheer up. Because of the heavy wind and snow, she didn't see the faces of the 2 just now. When she got closer, she could see the faces of the 2 people clearly. At this time, the 2 of them also saw Lin Su's appearance clearly, and Yang Zi was exclaiming at this time, "Dad, it's Sister Lin Su." Yang Tianwu obviously saw Lin Su's appearance clearly, and there was a hint of surprise in his eyes. It turned out to be his daughter's best friend. He had coveted this best friend of his daughter for a long time before. Whether it was her figure or her appearance, she was a top-notch existence. However, this Lin Su was very arrogant. No matter how he threatened and lured her, she ignored him, which made him very embarrassed. But today, he actually saw Lin Su alone outside, and an evil idea suddenly appeared in his mind. He must take this woman back and play with her. It would be a pity not to play with such a top-notch woman. He ignored his son and continued to walk towards Lin Su. Lin Su looked at the woman who was constantly approaching him. The man couldn't help but clench his hands tightly in his sleeves. Uncle Yang, what do you want to do? Lin Su kept moving her legs backwards, obviously not trusting the two acquaintances who were following her. She didn't like this Uncle Yang at all, and even hated him. He had harassed her many times before, which was disrespectful to an elder. Now he was following her again, obviously with bad intentions. Stop! She shouted at Yang Tianwu, who wanted to get closer to her. Yang Tianwu was not moved at all, and continued to walk towards Lin Su slowly, with fiery eyes and a smile on his mouth. Shaolin, it's me. I've only been a few days since we last met, and I'm so estranged from you. Uncle Yang, I told you to stop. Lin Su raised her voice again, and at the same time raised her right hand to Yang Tianwu with a pistol in her hand. Yang Tianwu was startled by this sudden scene. A pistol suddenly appeared in Lin Su's hand, which did not look like a fake. However, he looked at Lin Su's trembling right hand, and the smile on his mouth became a little thicker. As an old fox in the mall, he grasped people's micro-expressions very well. Lin Su was obviously scared. Having a gun in hand is one thing, and daring to shoot is another. Then he looked at Lin Su in surprise. Shaolin, what are you doing? Uncle Yang just wants to say hello to you. Do you have to point a gun at Uncle? However, he did not dare to move forward rashly, but just kept talking to lower her vigilance. Yang Zi, who was standing behind him, was startled when he saw Lin Su holding a pistol. He had never seen such a scene before, and his legs were shaking with fear. Sister Lin Su, we have no ill intentions. Please don't shoot. Yang Zi's voice was trembling when she spoke, and she was scared. Although the father and son claimed that they had no ill intentions, Lin Su did not relax his vigilance. In this apocalypse, one cannot easily trust anyone. Moreover, the man in front of him had his own improper thoughts. Chapter 42. Uncle Yang. This is an extraordinary period, so it's better to be cautious. If you have anything to say, just stand there and say it. He said this while holding the gun with both hands, and his body kept retreating. Yang Tianwu's face was full of kind smiles. You kid, you are really vigilant. Uncle really has no ill intentions. He moved slowly towards Lin Su without making any sound. However, his little action did not escape Lin Su's eyes. Looking at Yang Tianwu, who still wanted to get closer to her, she directly warned loudly. If you take another step forward, I will shoot. Why shoot? It's too polite. Faced with Lin Su's warning, Yang Tianwu did not stop his steps and continued to walk towards Lin Su. Bang! A huge gunshot echoed in Zizuan community. Yang Tianwu looked at Lin Su, who was shooting with some shock. He couldn't believe that this seemingly weak girl really dared to shoot. He looked down at a bloody wound on his chest that was constantly oozing blood. You really dare shoot? A feeling of weakness came over him, and then his body fell backwards uncontrollably. Yang Zijing, who was standing behind Yang Tianwu, was so scared when he saw his father lying in front of him that he collapsed to the ground. His crotch was wet. Lin Suswang held a gun, pointing the muzzle at Yang Zijing on the ground. Don't kill me, please, Sister Lin Su. Yang Zijing knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Lin Su, hoping to spare his life. What are you doing following me? Lin Su asked indifferently. It's him. It's all him. He wants to kidnap you. It has nothing to do with me. Yang Zijing pointed at his father on the ground and shouted wildly. I won't kill you, go away. Yang Zijing, who was kneeling on the ground, was as if he had been pardoned, with a grateful light in his eyes. Thank you, Sister Lin Su. He turned around and left quickly. The moment he turned around, his eyes were filled with malice. Everything he had just done was just to save his life. How could he not avenge his father's murder? Thinking of his father being brutally killed by Lin Su, he felt grief in his heart. Just when he was thinking about how to take revenge. Bang! Another gunshot came. Yang Zi was looking at his bloody chest, and his eyes were instantly occupied by fear. He turned around and looked at Lin Su with difficulty. Didn't we agree? Not to kill. Then he fell down powerlessly. Lin Su, who had killed 2 people in a row, trembled with her hands and her face was pale. She couldn't bear it anymore for the first time she killed someone, and she squatted on the ground and retched. After a minute, she looked at the two people she had shot. Her eyes became firm, and she whispered, "You asked for all this." She turned around and continued to walk towards Ling Feng's house. Ling Feng saw everything that happened just now clearly. In fact, when the Yang family father and son followed Lin Su at the beginning, he originally tried to rescue her, but he wanted to see how Lin Su would respond. So he did not rescue her. However, the development of the matter was beyond his expectations. He did not expect Lin Su to have a gun in her hand, and he did not expect her to shoot decisively and kill two people in a row, cutting the grass and eradicating the roots. It must be said that this kind of decisive character is deeply liked by Ling Feng. Only people with this kind of character can survive in this cruel doomsday. However, he still has to strengthen his defense against Lin Su. Before he completely trusts her, he must be on guard. Soon Lin Su walked to the door of Ling Feng's house. Ling Feng walked to the first floor and opened the observation port. "Unload your gun magazine and hand it to me with your backhand." Lin Su did not say anything and had to do it, handing the unloaded pistol to Ling Feng. After getting the pistol, Ling Feng opened the door with the key, then stepped back 2 meters, pointed the gun at the door, and shouted to the outside, "Push the door open yourself." Lin Su outside the door pushed the door open with force, only to find that the door was unusually heavy. She used all her strength to push the door open a crack. Instantly, the warm air inside continued to radiate to the outside, making Lin Su feel warm. She pushed the door hard again, and it took a lot of effort to push the door open to a width that could be entered sideways. She entered the door sideways, and the warm environment in the house made her feel like she was in another world. "Close the door." Looking at Ling Tian in front of her with a gun pointing at her, and looking at her cautiously, Lin Su was very speechless, so she had to turn around and close the door again. "Take off your clothes." This made Lin Su blush instantly, but the temperature inside did make her feel very hot despite her very bloated clothes. She stopped being shy and quickly took off her clothes until she was left with only the clothes that fitted her body. "It's okay." Ling Feng took him to the living room of the villa and looked at the woman in front of him. In half a month, she had lost a lot of weight and her eyes were full of fatigue. Although she was disheveled, she still couldn't hide her elegant and cold temperament. Ling Feng pointed to the bathroom. "Let's take a hot bath first." When she heard that there was hot water, Lin Su's eyes lit up. In the past half-month of the end of the world, the water supply at home had been cut off. "I haven't showered for half a month. My hair is so oily that I can cook. I feel itchy when I think of it." I nodded and hurried to the bathroom. Soon, the sound of water splashing came from the bathroom. Ling Feng found a pair of slippers and underwear for her from the space. Ling Feng estimated her size. Yeah, about right." Ling Feng is quite confident in his eyesight. All these clothes were taken back from a clothing warehouse when he was buying them at Tiananmen Warehouse for free. I didn't care about anything and got them all back. I didn't expect to use them today. "I put the clothes here for you." Ling Feng stood at the door and shouted inside. Then he began to prepare lunch. He used a rice cooker to make a pot of rice, and then made a pot of tomato and egg soup. He took out 8 dishes from the space for the remaining dishes. All of them were meat dishes. These were prepared for Lin Su. He was a little tired of these meat dishes recently, so he made himself a cold tomato and a shallot and tofu to relieve the greasiness. After waiting for an hour, Lin Su came out of the bathroom. She hadn't taken a shower for half a month and almost rubbed her skin. She had just finished taking a shower, and her cheeks were flushed. She was wearing a slim pajamas, which outlined her curvy figure. Ling Feng was drooling. Lin Su walked in front of Ling Feng, and the smell of food on the table made her stomach growl. Lin Su looked at Ling Feng, a little embarrassed. Ling Feng smiled at him and looked at the cute Lin Su. "Sit down and eat." Chapter 43. Lin Su sat opposite Ling Feng and looked at the rich food on the table. She couldn't help swallowing her saliva. Hot and sour beef, spicy chicken, cumin lamb, clay pot chicken, braised pork, crystal elbow, lion's head, spicy pig's trotter. Every dish looked tempting. Lin Su couldn't help it anymore and started eating with big mouthfuls, totally losing her ladle-like appearance. After the end of the world, she never had a proper hot meal again, let alone meat. Compared with the outside world, this is heaven. Lin Su picked up the pig's trotter and started chewing it without caring about her image, completely ignoring the look of Ling Feng next to her. Ling Feng looked at Lin Su, who was eating heartily, with a smile in his eyes. For the first time, he felt that watching others eat was more interesting than eating himself. Now he understands why the eating broadcast was so popular before. Originally, he just wanted to eat something light, but seeing how Lin Su was eating, he couldn't help but pick up a lion's head and eat it slowly. The two of them ate for half an hour, and the food on the table was basically eaten by the two of them. Lin Su sat on the chair with a satisfied expression. "I'm full." "Yeah." Lin Su blushed a little and felt a little shy when she thought of the way she ate just now. It was the first time for her to lose control like this. "Let's go. I'll take you upstairs to have a look." Ling Feng led her to introduce each room, as well as some entertainment facilities, and finally came to the bedroom on the third floor. Ling Feng walked up and stroked her hair, slowly hooked her chin. "You are full, it's my turn next." 10,000 words omitted here. 2 hours later, Ling Feng lit a cigarette with a satisfied look on his face, and felt comfortable all over. The feeling of being released was really great. Looking at the girl who was already asleep beside him, he gently stroked her smooth and white back. He didn't expect that this was the first time he had ever been with such a perfect woman. Thinking of the crazy 2 hours just now, he was a little distracted again. However, when he saw Lin Su sleeping soundly, he gave up this idea. There's a long way to go. However, he still felt a little hot. He had to say that this woman's charm was too strong. Fortunately, he was strong. Otherwise, even a cow couldn't stand it. He was going to practice swordsmanship in the basement to relieve his heat. After his unremitting practice during this period of time, he could dance with the sword smoothly and freely under 30 times the gravity. His maximum load-bearing capacity has also exceeded 40 times, and his progress is also very fast. He took out the Tang sword from the space and came to the gravity cabin. Today he was going to try to practice swordsmanship under 35 times the gravity. Step back to wield the sword, chop the sword, step up to lift the sword, step back to chop the sword, set the sword, and sweep the sword. Each basic movement was perfectly displayed in his hands. Compared with 30 times the gravity, 35 times the gravity resistance is greater. Every time he made a move, he felt exhausted, but Ling Feng still insisted on making every move perfect. After an hour of continuous persistence, his clothes were already wet with sweat, and his movements became faster and smoother. Under 35 times the gravity, his knife skills became more and more handy. After completing a day's training, Ling Feng walked out of the gravity cabin, feeling very comfortable, and his originally restless body had calmed down. He returned to the third floor and saw Lin Su still sleeping on the bed, but did not disturb him. After being tense for a while, she must be very tired after being relaxed suddenly. So let her have a good sleep. He came to the esports room on the second floor, ready to continue playing games. He had recently become addicted to a standalone Doomsday survival game and spent a lot of time doing tasks every day. Anyway, playing games is the best way to kill time when you have nothing to do. He lit a cigarette, took out a can of iced cola, and continued to work. In a community not far from Zizouan, a bald man leaned on the sofa and smoked a cigarette, and a young girl next to him was massaging his legs. There was a hint of fear in the girl's expression. On the sofa opposite the bald man sat a fierce-looking man. He was fierce mainly because he had a scary scar on his face. This man was the scarred face who was beaten by Ling Feng when he molested Yang Zihan in the barbecue restaurant, the man who claimed to be the Qinglong Society. The Qinglong Society was originally just a small social gang, but after the end of the world, there were no legal and official constraints. This group of social personnel gradually became bolder. Niu Xian, the boss of the Qinglong Society, relied on his dozens of younger brothers to directly control the entire community by force. He plundered a large number of daily necessities through violent means and did all kinds of evil in the community. Some women with good looks could not escape his clutches. Dared to make trouble, or those who disobeyed his orders were beaten up at best and killed at worst. He lived like an emperor in the entire community. Under his brutality, the death rate in the entire community rose rapidly, and many families starved to death because of the supplies he robbed. At this time, Scarface looked at Niu opposite with a respectful face. "Boss, the supplies in the community have basically been looted. The supplies we have are only enough for the brothers to eat for 2 days." Niu frowned and took a deep puff of cigarette. "Are you sure you can't find anything?" "Boss, I really can't find anything. There are less than 80 households left alive in the 12 buildings in the entire community." Niu closed his eyes and didn't know what he was thinking when he heard this, but it was obvious from his face that he was in a bad mood. Scarface, who was sitting opposite him, felt a little uneasy. His boss was moody and could do anything when he got angry. A few days ago, because an owner of Building 6 was unwilling to hand over the supplies, the boss went over and chopped off the man's head. The other owners were so scared that they no longer dared to hide supplies. Seeing the boss, they all became weak in the knees. "Boss, I have an idea. I wonder if it will work," Scarface said cautiously. "Speak." Niu opened his eyes and looked at Scarface. "Boss, there is a villa area near us. This is the most famous rich area in Shangjing City. Maybe there will be a lot of supplies there, and there are many beautiful women living there. I heard that there is also a big internet celebrity there." He looked at Niu with an expression that you know. The biggest hobby of this boss and his family is to play with women. As long as he is told that there are beautiful women there, he will definitely be tempted. Of course, he still has some selfish motives, that is, he was beaten at the barbecue stall at that time. Later, after his own multifaceted investigation, he found that this person was from the Ling family of Tianhu Pharmaceutical Group. He lives in this villa area. I was just a small gangster at that time, so I didn't dare to provoke him. But now the world has changed, and I must get back at him. Niu eyes lit up when he heard Scar's words. "Yes, why didn't I think of it? Why are we still hiding in this broken community? Tell the brothers to pack up our supplies, take our weapons, and prepare to fight the local tyrants." Chapter 44. Ling Feng was so absorbed in playing the game that he didn't notice the time at all. It wasn't until he saw that it was completely dark outside that he looked at the time. 22:25. It's so late already. Ling Feng turned off the game, prepared to have dinner, and then continue working. Just as he reached the first floor, he remembered that there was someone else at home. He returned to the bedroom on the 3rd floor, and as soon as he entered the bedroom, he saw Lin Su, who had already woken up, standing barefoot in front of the window and looking out the window. At this time, Lin Su was wearing a set of white, light silk pajamas, outlining her perfect curves, and her long, straight black hair fell to her waist. Although it was just a back view, it still made people indulge in it. Hearing the footsteps, Lin Su turned her head and looked at Ling Feng, her cheeks slightly red. As her first man, she felt extremely complicated. She didn't expect that the most important thing to her would be lost in this way. "Can you cook?" Ling Feng was the first to break the silence. "Yes. Let's go downstairs and cook." Ling Feng took her to the kitchen on the 1st floor. There was a large double-door refrigerator in the kitchen filled with various ingredients, all of which were put in by Ling Feng in advance. "Dinner is up to you. You can use whatever ingredients in the refrigerator. You can cook whatever you want. Also, you will be responsible for the 3 meals a day at home in the future." "Okay." Lin Su didn't feel wrong in her heart. On the contrary, she felt a little relieved. Now that she is dependent on Ling Tian, she must do something within her ability to reflect her value. The arrogant mentality before the end of the world must be discarded now. It would be nice to be an honest nanny. Living in such an environment, those people outside can't squeeze, and even if they break their heads. Lin Su opened the refrigerator and saw the rich variety of ingredients in the refrigerator. She couldn't help but feel excited. It has been half a month since the end of the world. People outside have already run out of ammunition and food. When others are fighting for a piece of bread, there are still fresh vegetables and fruits here. She took a quick look at the vegetables in the refrigerator and began to process them skillfully. Ling Feng looked at Lin Su, who was very skillful and was very satisfied with her performance. With a beautiful and capable woman at home, his future life would be more comfortable. Leaning on the sofa in the living room, lighting a cigarette, a bottle of Fat House Happy Water on the table, holding the latest limited edition Switch in his hand to play a racing casual game. This life is worth nothing. Lin Su cooked very quickly. In less than an hour, she made 4 meat dishes and 2 vegetables, as well as a pork rib corn soup. Lin Su put all the dishes on the table, served the rice, and then went to the living room to call Ling Feng to eat. Ling Feng looked at the rich dishes on the table. The color was attractive, and the dishes were very delicate. He picked up a piece of beef and tasted it. It tastes really good. Delicious. The taste is not inferior to the chef of a 5-star hotel. Ling Feng gave her a thumbs up. Lin Su smiled and said, "As long as it suits your taste." Ling Feng really didn't expect Lin Su's cooking to be so delicious. This is much better than what he cooks. Cooking by himself depends on luck. Sometimes it may taste good, but most of the food is terrible. The two of them feasted on the food on the table and soon swept away all the food on the table, most of which went into Ling Feng's stomach. Lin Su was also very satisfied when she saw that all the food she cooked was eaten up. What a cook likes most is not to be praised by others, but to eat all the food she cooked. After dinner, Lin Su started to clean up the dishes and clean the kitchen. She also brought Ling Feng a fruit plate thoughtfully. While Ling Feng was playing games, Lin Su sat quietly beside him and watched him play games. And from time to time, she handed a piece of fruit to his mouth. An emperor's enjoyment. "Do you want to play together?" Ling Feng was afraid that she would be bored sitting there alone, so he wanted her to play together. "I don't know how to play. I've never played before." Lin Su shook her head. As a child who grew up in an orphanage, she had a very unfortunate childhood and had never played video games. Later, she went to college and started working. She put all her thoughts on her career and had no personal entertainment at all. Her only hobby was to study cooking when she was free. "Don't know how to play? I'll teach you when I'm free." Ling Feng pulled her soft little hand to sit on his thigh and taught her how to play games. It was the first time that Lin Su sat on a man's lap. She blushed with shame, and she made mistakes frequently when playing games. Ling Feng also felt the abnormality in her body, and his heart was burning. He picked her up by the waist and walked towards the bedroom. Another sleepless night. Just when Ling Feng was enjoying the gentle countryside, a team of dozens of people sneaked into the Zizuan community in the night. This group of people was from the Qinglong Society. Under the leadership of Niu Xian, the leader of the Qinglong Society, a group of people came to Zizuan to rob supplies. Although there are only 80 villas in the entire Zizuan, the area is very large, and the distance between each building is 100 meters. Niu Xian looked at the rows of luxurious villas and was very excited. He was born at the bottom of society. How could he have come to such a luxurious villa? He dared not think about it before. Now, he will have the final say here. All the supplies and women here will be his. Niu Xian took dozens of younger brothers and walked towards the villa closest to him. The villa was dark, and there was no light, and he couldn't see the situation inside. Niu Xian directly and rudely ordered his younger brothers to smash the door. A yellow-haired man who received the order walked to the door in a swagger and kept smashing the door with a steel pipe in his hand. The door of the whole villa kept banging. "Open the door quickly. Otherwise, I will smash all your glass." The yellow-haired man banged the door for half a minute, constantly threatening and intimidating the people inside. But there was still no movement inside. Just as everyone was about to break in, the sound of unlocking was heard from inside the door. Niu Xian took a flashlight and shone it at the person who opened the door. He saw that the person who opened the door was a woman about 30 years old. When Niu Xian saw the woman's appearance, his eyes suddenly lit up. His luck was really good. He met a beautiful woman in the first house. The woman was frightened by this group of uninvited guests. Seeing their aggressive appearance, they were not good people. She was so frightened that she stood there motionless and said timidly, "What do you want?" Niu Xian walked up to the woman and hugged her waist, looking at her with a wicked smile, and said, "Beauty, we are here to stay for one night. As long as you cooperate well, I will make sure you are safe." As he spoke, his hands wandered dishonestly on the woman's body. Just when she was at a loss, a weak voice came from inside. "Xiao Wu, Who's here? Chapter 45. Without waiting for the woman named Xiao Wu to answer, Niu Xian led a group of younger brothers into the villa. As soon as he entered the villa, he heard groans, and Niu Xian shone the light in the direction of the sound. There was a skinny old man lying on a sofa, and the painful groans came from his mouth. The old man was none other than Lu Jiwei, the former chairman of the supervisory committee. At this time, Lu Jiwei no longer had the high spirits he had at that time. Now his eyes were full of despair, and his face was as pale as paper. Since he was hit by more than a dozen marbles by Ling Feng last time, due to limited medical conditions, the wound became infected, and the whole back was now completely rotten, and he had to endure the heart-piercing pain every moment. Because of the lack of food, his concubine only gave him half a piece of bread every day, causing him to be unable to stand up now. The whole person has been tortured beyond recognition. Now he just wants to die quickly and be free as soon as possible. Who are you? Looking at the group of people who suddenly appeared in his home, Lu Jiwei asked weakly. Old man, we are here to borrow some food. If you know what's good for you, hand over the food at home. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. Scarface raised the machete in his hand with a threatening tone. When Lu Jiwei heard this, his originally dead look was instantly filled with excitement, and a blush appeared on his pale face. Kill me. Please kill me. I don't want to live anymore. Lu Jiwei's words instantly made Scarface unable to do anything. This was the first time he met someone who took the initiative to seek death. At this time, Niu Xian hugged Xiao Wu's waist and walked to Lu Jiwei. He saw that the physical condition of the man in front of him was extremely weak. Old man, just hand over the food. I will give you a quick death. Lu Jiwei saw that his woman was hugged by others at this time, and a feeling of humiliation surged in his heart. He had been glorious all his life, but ended up like this. Not only was he suffering from illness, but his woman was also taken away by others. But he changed his mind and thought that these people were all trying to steal food. Why not divert the trouble to others? It would be best to kill Ling Feng, the bastard, and let them fight each other. And Ling Yutong, if he hadn't dragged me into the game, I wouldn't be like this now. If I don't have a good life, he won't have a good life either. Our family's food is not enough for you to fill your teeth, but I know whose family is food, and the stock is huge. Niu Xian's eyes flashed when he heard this. His brothers consumed a lot of food every day. If there was no food, his people would not work for him. Whose family? Ling Yutong. His family is in Building 80, the last villa in this community. Niu Xian listened to him and looked at the woman in his arms. Do you know where Building 80 is? The woman nodded in fear. Lead the way. After saying that, he led a group of people to walk outside. Lu Jiwei, who was on the sofa, saw that the group of people were leaving and had no intention of paying attention to him, and shouted hysterically. Stop, stop. Kill me. You promised to give me a quick death. However, no one paid attention to him, and soon he was the only one left in the room. He cursed the group of people unwillingly. Bastards, you all will not die well. Ha, you all will not die well. Woo woo woo. Unfortunately, no one will respond to him anymore. Only his miserable voice echoed in the villa. After leaving Lu Jiwei's house, Niu Xian walked towards Ling Yutong's house under the leadership of Xiao Wu. The group soon arrived at the door of Ling Yutong's house. In order to save time, Niu Xian directly ordered his younger brothers to smash the door open. Several younger brothers smashed the door randomly, and the huge noise also woke up Ling Yutong's family. Ling Yi and Ling Kuer both ran to the first floor to check the situation. Ling Yutong also came down to the first floor with the help of Wang. At this time, Ling Yutong's situation was not much better than Lu Jiwei's. His right leg and right hand were shot by Ling Feng, and he did not receive timely help. Now his right leg and right hand are completely useless, and he walks with a limp. Ling Yi saw the people outside banging on the door through the cat's eye, and his face turned pale, and he almost peed again. Mom and Dad, there are dozens of people outside. What should we do? Ling Kuer said, Dad, open the door for them. Once they come in, our fate will be even worse. Ling Yutong sighed. Go and open the door for them. Ling Yi was a little reluctant, but he was the only one left at home that a healthy man can only go by himself. He walked to the front door with courage and opened the door carefully. Damn, you are so slow to open the door now. Do you want to die? Scarface kicked Ling Yi against the wall, and Ling Yi fell to the ground in pain, curled up on the floor, and sweated. Why did you hit him? When Wang saw her precious son being knocked to the ground, she stepped forward to argue. Scarface looked at the middle-aged woman who was walking towards her with a fierce face and slapped her directly. Pa! Wang was stunned by the slap, and the huge force made her stagger and almost fall down with a burning pain on her cheek. Wang, who reacted, was instantly furious. She had always been arrogant and had never suffered such grievances, so she rushed toward Scarface. You bastard! You dare to hit me, I'll fight you. Wang raised her palm and wanted to give Scarface a big fight, but Scarface reacted faster than her and grabbed her wrist. Wang bit Scarface's thumb like a mad bitch. Scarface felt the pain and began to wave his fists at Wang. But Wang was already blinded by anger and bit his fingers tightly. No matter how he hit her, she would not let go. Fuck you, let me go. If you don't let me go, I'll kill you. You! Bang! Wang, who was still crazy, was shot in the head. Blood mixed with brain matter splashed on Scarface's face. Scarface was startled by the sudden gunshot. He turned his head and looked behind him. Niu Xian calmly put away his gun and led the way into the villa. Ling Yi, who was lying on the ground, was frightened again and lay on the ground pretending to be dead. He didn't dare to make a sound even when his mother was killed. Ling Kuo, who was standing not far away, didn't rush over to check when she saw her mother being killed, but stood there calmly, her eyes rolling around, not knowing what she was thinking. Ling Yutong saw his wife being killed, and he also didn't show any sadness. He had no feelings for this fat woman a long time ago, and now she was dead. He felt a little happy. If he wasn't afraid of the family behind her, he would have divorced her long ago. Niu Xian looked at the unusually calm father and daughter and felt very curious in his heart. When he saw Ling Kuo's appearance, the smile on the corner of his mouth rose again. Chapter 46. Ling Kuo looked at the man who kept approaching her and the obscene look in his eyes, and she felt something was wrong. Although she was afraid, she said calmly, "If you are looking for food, I'm afraid I will disappoint you. There is no food at home. Best restaurants near me." Niu Xian looked at the girl in front of him with interest. It was rare for her to be fearless in the face of such a group of people. She was also very beautiful and smooth. "No food? What are you eating now?" "Eat people," Ling Kuo said lightly, as if she was talking about a very common thing. When the people of Qinglong Club heard the word "eat people," they all showed expressions of disbelief. They couldn't believe that this seemingly weak girl would eat human flesh. Ling Kuo saw the doubt in everyone's eyes, and without saying anything more, she said directly to Niu Xian, "If you don't believe it, you can go to the kitchen with me." Niu Xian followed her to the kitchen, and Ling Kuo pointed to the corner of the kitchen. "It's right there." Niu Xian shone the light in the direction of her finger, and indeed saw an incomplete body, with only half of the whole body left. This body was none other than Ling Tao, her biological brother. After Ling Tao's death, the family was in great grief and wanted to bury the body, but it was icy and snowy outside, and the ground was frozen hard and could not be dug at all. They could only temporarily place the body at home. At first, there was still some food at home. In order to survive for a few more days, the family began to reduce the amount of food every day, but no matter how they saved, the food at home eventually ran out. After 2 days of hunger, although they were reluctant, the family could only turn their attention to the frozen body. Ling Yutong's family also relied on Ling Tao's body to survive until now. Niu Xian was also shocked by the bloody scene in front of him, and some of his younger brothers began to vomit directly. Ling Kuo looked calm, his eyes were numb, and he was used to dealing with these minced meat every day. Niu Xian instantly realized that he was deceived by the old man Lu Zhui. Damn, this old man deceived me. But he looked at Ling Kuo and felt that this time was not in vain. He directly took Ling Kuo's hand with a smile on his face. "I don't want food. As for you, just follow me. I can give you a bite to eat." Before Ling could have spoke, Ling Yutong limped over when he heard this. Boss, please let us join you. As long as you give me a bite to eat, I can let my daughter follow you. Niu Xian smiled. No problem. I have dozens of brothers under my command, and I don't need you guys. Ling Yutong was very excited when he heard this, and kept bending down to thank him, not caring that this man had just killed his wife. Ling Ke looked at her father like this. Her heart was full of indifference. In his heart, she was not as important as filling his stomach. I agree. I will be yours from now on. Niu Xian was so excited when he heard this. Ling Ke was beautiful, and she was also a rich lady with temperament. I was a low-level person, which was unattainable in the past, but now I can play with high-end goods. It's still good in the end of the world. Niu Xian was impatient to order the people of the Qinglong Society to stay here tonight, and then gave Ling Yutong's family some food, and took Ling Ke and Lu Jiwei's little wife upstairs. 20 minutes later, Niu Xian lay on the bed with a satisfied look on his face. The group movement just now made him feel the extreme excitement, especially that Xiao Wu, who knows a lot of tricks. Just that voice made him surrender twice. Such a woman actually served an old man? What a waste. And Ling Ke, that kind of lady's temperament, pure face, tut-tut. Although the movements were a little unfamiliar, he tried his best to cater to himself. This feeling of conquest was so refreshing. It felt good, but his feet were a little soft. A feeling of fatigue came over his body, making him fall asleep directly. The next morning, Niu Xian got out of bed with a shaky step. Ling Ke and Xiao Wu saw that Niu Xian had woken up, and they both walked up to her and gave her a kiss. Niu Xian's originally weak body instantly became energetic again. When he walked to the living room, all the younger brothers got up, and the younger brother who was responsible for cooking had already prepared breakfast. Breakfast was also very simple, a bowl of white porridge. He was the only one in the entire Qinglong club who had breakfast, and everyone else had to go hungry. There was no way. There was a shortage of food. This group of younger brothers could only eat one meal a day, and even the remaining food for one meal a day was only enough for 2 days. Niu Xian sat at the dining table eating white porridge, and everyone else looked at him eagerly, constantly swallowing saliva. After breakfast, Niu Xian decided to continue to search for food today. He called Ling Yutong. Old Ling, do you know who else has food in your community? I know. The one with the most supplies here is Ling Feng. Ling Feng? Why does the name sound so familiar? Niu Xian is very familiar with this, and vaguely remembers that he seemed to have heard of this name before. Upon hearing this, the scar man next to him stepped forward and said, Boss, Ling Feng is the guy who beat me in the barbecue restaurant and scolded our Qinglong Society. Oh yes, I almost forgot. Niu Xian slapped his forehead and remembered Ling Feng. He had always wanted to take revenge on this guy before, but this guy's family was powerful, so he didn't dare to do it. Now he can finally take revenge. Old Ling, is there a lot of food in his family? Ling Yutong listened to the conversation between Niu Xian and Scarred, and heard that Ling Feng seemed to have a grudge against them, and he was very happy. His chance has come. He hurriedly said, It's more than a lot, it's super a lot. He has posted his inventory in the owner group before, and it's quite rich. He took out his mobile phone and wanted to take out the photos to show Niu Xian, only to find that the power had been out for several days and his mobile phone was out of power. He often showed off his daily meals in the group. Every day, he had big fish and meat and high-end wine. When we had no food, he had Australian lobsters and steaks at home. Caviar is a high-end ingredient, and his villa has been renovated and it's very warm inside. In this kind of weather, people only wear a short-sleeved shirt at home. Ling Yutong talked endlessly about the material situation of Ling Feng's home, and Niu Xian and his younger brother drooled. If he was telling the truth, then they met a fat sheep this time, especially those high-end seafood and red wine he mentioned. Just thinking about it makes you feel delicious. As long as you can enter Ling Feng's home, you will not only have rich ingredients, but also a warm villa. Niu Xian was very excited. He would not have to suffer from hunger and cold in the future. He could find a few beauties to live with him. He felt comfortable just thinking about it. Chapter 47. Where does Ling Feng live? Take us there now. Niu Xian's eyes moved slightly. He couldn't wait to go there. He was always fearless because he had many men under his command. Ling Yutong's mouth curled up slightly. Just as he was about to tell his plan, Ling Kuer on the side spoke first. Don't act rashly. Ling Feng's house is very solidly decorated, and he has lethal weapons in his hands. A forced attack will definitely cause casualties. Niu Xian frowned when he heard this. Does he have a gun? Probably not, but he has a bow and arrow and a slingshot in his hand, which are quite powerful. Ling Yutong added on the side. Bow and arrow? Slingshot. Huh? Niu Xian and his younger brothers burst into laughter, and Niu Xian almost laughed to tears. In a slingshot. Huh? He pulled out the pistol from his waist and slapped it on the table. No matter how powerful it is, can it be as powerful as this thing of mine? I guess the glass and iron door of his house are bulletproof. Your gun is useless. Ling Kuer directly poured a basin of cold water on him and told her about the failure of the previous 2 attacks. Ling Kuer despised Niu Xian in her heart. This man was just an idiot who only knew how to sleep with women. An idiot with strong limbs. If it were in the past, she would not have looked at such a person more. But now she had to use him to kill Ling Feng. If you want to take down Ling Feng, you must use strategies. If you use force, you will definitely suffer heavy losses. Niu Xian also fell into deep thought after listening to Ling Kuer's words. According to her, this Ling Feng is indeed a bit difficult to deal with, and people like them may not be able to get the upper hand. But she couldn't think of any other strategy except fighting. He turned to look at Ling Kuer, thinking that this woman was not simple, and her analysis of things was also very reasonable. So he asked her, "What do you think we should do?" Ling Kuer directly told her own plan, which she had thought of all night yesterday. Since she was rejected by Ling Feng for the first time, she has been thinking about how to kill Ling Feng and occupy his house all the time, but she does not have the strength to do so. But the appearance of Niu Xian and his group yesterday gave him hope. So she endured the discomfort to cater to this guy who made her sick. It was to gain his trust and complete her revenge plan. Niu Xian was very excited after hearing her plan. In his opinion, this plan was perfect, and his brain could not think of it. According to this plan, start now and try to take him down today. Niu Xian ordered his brothers to start taking action, and everyone got busy after receiving the order. 8 o'clock in the morning. Ling Feng was awakened by a gentle voice, and Ling Feng slowly opened his eyes. Lin Su lay on the bed, looking at him with a smile. Get up and wash up and eat. Ling Feng directly hugged her slender waist with both hands and exerted force on himself. Oh! Lin Su lost her balance and fell directly into his arms. Ling Feng turned over and pressed her under him. Looking at her delicate and tempting red lips, Ling Feng couldn't help but get close to her. The two of them tossed in bed for an hour, and Ling Feng was satisfied to put on his clothes, took Lin Su's hand, and prepared to have breakfast. Lin Su's face flushed, and she looked at him with resentment, and she was so addicted every day. She got off the bed with a weak step, and she was a little floating when she walked. Ling Feng smiled slightly, hugged her waist, and went downstairs to eat together. The two had just had an hour of in-depth communication, and the food was cold, so Ling Feng reheated breakfast. Breakfast was steamed dumplings made by Lin Su with preserved egg and lean meat porridge. Ling Feng picked up a steamed dumpling and put it in his mouth. It tasted delicious. There was a whole shrimp meat in each steamed dumpling. The shrimp meat was chewy and refreshing. Ling Feng's eyes lit up, and then he started to eat it voraciously. The lean meat porridge was also fragrant and delicious. With a little green onion, the flavor was directly enhanced. Ling Feng had 5 steamed dumplings for breakfast. Fortunately, Lin Su knew that he had a big appetite and made enough. After dinner, Ling Feng lit a lotus and a cigarette after dinner. He was as happy as a god. Huazi has smoked too much recently, so he changed his taste. Ling Feng's space is also very rich. There are all kinds of cigarettes. He has bought them all, both domestically and abroad. If he gets tired of smoking that day, he still has a lot of high-end cigars in his space, such as Cohiba, Davidoff, and Monte Cristo, Romeo and Juliet, etc. He has a rich stock of top-ranked brands, enough for him to smoke. Ling Feng was lying on the sofa playing games. Lin Su started to clean up, and Black Panther followed Lin Su's buttocks. Since Lin Su came to the villa, Black Panther seemed to be attracted by Lin Su's beauty and stuck to her every day. Lin Su also liked this chubby little guy very much and would throw some meat to him every time she cooked. For this reason, Ling Feng scolded Black Panther several times, saying that he was an ungrateful person, which made Lin Su laugh. Lin Su's arrival brought more vitality to the villa and made Ling Feng's life more comfortable. He was also very satisfied with his current life. It's not bad to live like this for the rest of his life. Just when he was fantasizing about a better life, the alarm sounded again. Ling Feng frowned. After a few days of this stable life, someone came to cause trouble again. Ling Feng looked at the surveillance camera and saw an old lady with white hair standing at the door, holding a little boy by her hand. The little boy was very thin, and his whole body was just skin and bones. It was obvious that he had been malnourished for a long time. Ling Feng still had some impression of the grandparents and grandchildren. The villa where they lived was not far from him. The little boy's father was the CEO of a listed company. His assets were ranked among the top in the whole villa. He usually acted very high profile, but this person had been killed by Ling Feng in the last conflict. This old lady relied on her son's wealth and was usually arrogant and unreasonable. She would throw a tantrum if she couldn't make sense. No one in the whole Zizawin would provoke her. The old lady took care of her grandson at home every day. The old lady doted on her precious grandson and unconditionally met all her grandson's requests. This also taught the little boy to be a naughty child who was annoying to everyone. He has caused trouble in the community many times, causing the owners to come to the door to ask for punishment, but what they responded to was the old lady's arrogance and tantrum. The owners could not do anything about him, so they could only swallow their anger, and the naughty child became more unscrupulous in the community. Ling Feng remembered that his car was scratched by a naughty child, but the family refused to admit it and even turned the tables and said that he was a fraud. Thinking of this, Ling Feng got angry and decided to discipline the following naughty child. Chapter 48. Ling Feng walked to the front door, opened the intercom port above, and looked at the grandparents and grandchildren standing outside the door. He said with a smile on his face, "Oh, isn't this old lady Lu? How come you have time to come to my place today?" Old lady Lu, who was knocking on the door, immediately put on a smiling face when she heard someone talking. "Ling's boy, I know you have food at home. Can you give Xiaoyu some food?" Ling Feng heard this with a trace of regret on his face. "Hey, you should have told me earlier. We don't have any extra food at home. I can't help you." Old lady Lu knelt on the ground with a thump and kowtowed to Ling Feng continuously, crying, "Xiaoling, I beg you, please give us some food. Our Xiaoyu is almost starving. Please be kind. Good people will be rewarded." Ling Feng smiled coldly in his heart. "I need your prayers. Good people may not be rewarded." Seeing old lady Lu's constant pleading, Ling Feng was calm in his heart. He knew old lady Lu very well. She changed her face faster than turning a book. Buy best-selling books online. I say, "Old lady Lu, I can't accept your gift. You are shortening my life. Go away." The naughty child standing next to the old lady couldn't stand it when he heard this, and pointed at Ling Feng fiercely. "Hurry up and take out the food, you bastard, or I'll let my dad kill you when he comes back." Old lady Lu, who was kneeling on the ground, changed her face when she heard this, and quickly pulled her grandson over and covered his mouth to stop him from talking nonsense. Looking at Ling Feng with an apologetic face, "I'm sorry, Xiaoling. The child is ignorant and talking nonsense. Don't take it to heart." Ling Feng waved his hand nonchalantly. "Hey, why should I be angry anyway? You won't live for a few days." Ling Feng looked at the naughty child with an unhappy expression. "Don't worry. You will meet your dad soon." Old lady Lu was unhappy when she heard this. Isn't this cursing them to death? She couldn't bear it anymore. She got up angrily, changing from her pitiful appearance just now to her previous arrogant appearance in an instant. "Little bastard, can you speak, or your whole family will die? You watch someone die without helping him. Your conscience has been eaten by a dog." The naughty child also stood there and cursed at Ling Feng. "Bastard, big idiot, stinky bastard. Ling Feng faced their abuse very calmly and did not curse at them very loudly. Instead, he looked at the grandfather and grandson very calmly. Your father is dead and can't come back. You are going to starve to death. As he said that, he took out a bag of potato chips and ate them in front of them, making a crunching sound, and deliberately smacked his lips to make the sound very loud. Then he took out a bag of snacks and ate them happily. The naughty kid outside watched Ling Feng eating all kinds of snacks, and he was so angry that he kept shouting, give it to me, bastard, it's all mine." He also kept hitting his grandmother with his fists. "I want to eat potato chips. Go and get them back for me." Ling Feng looked at the warm scene outside, and he was in a good mood. He looked at the naughty kid who was crying and rolling outside. "Child, do you want to eat?" The naughty kid stopped crying immediately after hearing this, nodded seriously, and acted well-behaved. "No, I won't give it to you even if you throw it away." The naughty kid cried even harder after hearing this, and started hitting his grandmother again. Old Lady Lu was annoyed by her grandson's noise, but she was not willing to fight him, so she could only vent her anger on Ling Feng. She looked at Ling Feng with a gloomy face and said, "You little bastard, don't be arrogant. You killed my son, and the government will not let you go. Just wait for the government's reckoning. We will never compromise at that time. We must shoot social scum like you." Ling Feng sneered, "I'm so scared. Don't be soft-hearted at that time. But you have to live to that day. Get out of here quickly, or I'll let you taste the taste of the slingshot." As he said, he took the slingshot in his hand and was about to pull the slingshot. When Old Lady Lu heard this, her expression suddenly changed. She had heard about the power of Ling Feng's slingshot. She didn't dare to talk nonsense anymore. She pulled her little grandson out of the yard. The naughty child was still making noise while walking, and he had to eat the snacks in Ling Feng's hand. His expression was full of reluctance. After driving away the two annoying guys, Ling Feng returned to the living room and continued playing games. He did not attack the grandparents and grandchildren because he felt there was no need to waste bullets. Without food, the old man and the child would not survive for a few days in this apocalypse. Old Lady Lu brought her grandson to Ling Yutang's villa and reported what happened just now. Niu and Xian heard that the plan had failed. He was still furious even though he had been prepared. "You two rubbish. You can't even do this. You're useless. Get out of here." Niu Xian saw that Old Lady Lu was standing there motionless, with no intention of leaving. "Why are you standing here? Wait for me to send you off in a sedan chair. Get out of here." Old Lady Lu forced a smile on her face, not daring to be a bit presumptuous. She said tremblingly, "Didn't they say they would give us some food?" Niu Xian was amused by her words and said coldly, "I haven't done anything yet, and you still want supplies. Are you crazy? Get out of here, or I'll break your leg." The kid next to him saw his grandma being scolded, and his fearless character began to show again. He pointed at Niu Xian's nose and said loudly, "Asshole, don't scold my grandma. Apologize to my grandma. Apologize, I'm sorry." Niu Xian kicked the kid out with one foot and hit the wall behind him. He fainted on the spot. When Mrs. Lu saw her grandson being kicked away, she screamed and ran towards her grandson on the ground, hugged her grandson, and started crying. "You bunch of bandits, he's still a child. How can you be so cruel?" Niu Xian listened to Mrs. Lu's crying and scolding, and his ears were buzzing. He couldn't stand it. He took out his pistol and shot at Old Lady Lu. Bang! The bullet hit Old Lady Lu's heart. Old Lady Lu slowly let go of her grandson's hand and fell to the ground. "Finally, it's quiet," Niu Xian said calmly. "Killing a person is as common as eating. Throw these two people out. They are annoying me." Niu Xian ordered his younger brother to get rid of Old Lady Lu's body and the unconscious child. Ling Yutang, who was standing by, saw this scene. He was so scared that his legs trembled and he lowered his head in a hurry, fearing that this killer would target him. Ling Kuer was very calm, and her face did not fluctuate at all. However, her hands tightly grasping the corners of her clothes showed that she was not as calm as she seemed. Niu Xian looked at Ling Kuer with an inquiring tone. "When do we plan to act next?" "After an hour. The time cannot be too long. Otherwise Ling Feng will suspect." Niu Xian nodded. I will personally participate in the operation later, and I will definitely take this guy down. Chapter 49. Niu Xian waited in the house for a while, and a younger brother came running over with a bulging bag of things. Boss, everything is back. Niu Xian opened the package, looked at it, and nodded with satisfaction. He found a smarter younger brother and asked him to act with him later. The package contained 2 sets of police uniforms. When he was in the last community, he encountered a police officer who resisted when he was looting supplies. Niu Xian killed the police officer directly and got these 2 sets of police uniforms. Their next plan was to disguise themselves as policemen, trick Ling Feng out, and kill him. When the time was almost right, Niu Xian, wearing a police uniform, walked towards Ling Feng's house with another younger brother. The two walked outside the small courtyard of the villa. Niu Xian looked towards Ling Feng's villa and happened to see a woman wiping the table in the restaurant on the first floor. Due to the reflection of the glass, he did not see the woman's appearance, but just based on that figure and lines, the 2 women in his family could not compare. He couldn't help but quicken his pace and walk towards the restaurant, eager to see the woman's face. Lin Su, who was busy in the house, seemed to notice someone looking at her. She turned her head and looked directly at Niu Xian. Niu Xian finally saw the face of the woman in the villa, and his whole body became thicker. This is simply the best. This face is not inferior to the stars on TV, especially the cold temperament and the 2 swaggering headlights, which made him dry his mouth. Compared with her, the 2 women he just got yesterday are simply incomparable. He wanted to rush in and have a good exchange with her immediately. When he thought that Ling Feng not only had sufficient supplies and a warm villa in the end of the world, but also had a beautiful woman as a companion, the jealousy in his heart burst out completely. He swore in his heart, "I will definitely take everything he has." Lin Su looked at the 2 men in police uniforms who suddenly appeared outside the window and was a little surprised, but when she saw the man's obscene eyes scanning her body up and down, she felt uncomfortable. She closed the curtains of the restaurant and hurried back to the living room to find Ling Feng to tell him about it. Ling Feng was already watching the surveillance at this time, and he didn't know what he was thinking. These 2 people are not normal. Lin Su said, "Why are they not normal?" Ling Feng asked with interest. Although these 2 people are wearing police uniforms, their behavior is not like that of policemen at all, and the way they look at me is not normal, but like a gangster. Ling Feng narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard this, and said with a smile, "The way I look at you is not normal either." Lin Su rolled her eyes at him. It was no time to joke. "You are also a gangster." "Then I will be a gangster," he and stretched out his hands to touch her sensitive parts. Lin Su was startled and opened his hands with a red face. "There are people outside." Ling Feng smiled and took back his hands. He just wanted to scare her and liked to see her panic. Ling Feng looked at the 2 people knocking on the door outside and walked towards the door lazily. He opened the small door above and looked at the 2 people outside. "What business do you 2 police officers have?" Niu Xian's younger brother said seriously. "Are you Ling Feng?" Ling Feng nodded. The younger brother got the confirmation and continued, "We are from the police station. We received a report that you are suspected of intentional homicide. Please come back with us immediately to assist in the investigation." Ling Feng was surprised, and then he cursed at the 2 people. "Fuck. Are you 2 blind, ah? You dare to arrest me? Open your dog eyes and see who I am. Your director Wang and director Zhao didn't dare to talk to me like this. You 2 little karami dare to arrest me? Get out of here." Shot. Niu Xian's younger brother was directly stunned by Ling Feng's output. This Ling Feng didn't play by the routine. The lines he just memorized were useless. He quickly turned his head and looked at Niu Xian. Niu Xian wanted to take action immediately after being scolded by him, but when he thought that he couldn't be impulsive, he suppressed his temper again. He took a step forward, patiently speaking in a calm tone. "Mr. Ling, our director Wang and director Zhao specifically told us that we must handle this matter impartially. Please don't make things difficult for us." Ling Feng laughed instantly when he heard this. He just made up 2 people, but the 2 people outside the door really fell for it. His guess was right. It has been more than half a month since the end of the world. The government system of the country has collapsed long ago. How can they care about such a thing? It seems that this is another person who wants to trick him into opening the door. But this method is indeed much more clever than before. Ling Feng took out a cigarette from his pocket, lit it, and slowly blew out smoke rings. Since you want to take me away, take out your investigation order and let me see it. Niu Xian smelled the smoke coming from inside, and his nose twitched slightly. His last box of cigarettes was also finished yesterday. Now he saw Ling Feng's craving for cigarettes again. This matter is too urgent. We didn't bring it out. You go back with us now, and I will show it to you, Niu Xian said with a serious face. Ling Feng looked at the two people who were still acting and decided to play with them. That won't work. Without an investigation order, I won't go with you. Sir, if you don't cooperate, we will use violent means to enter. Have you thought it through? Ling Feng spit out a puff of smoke without caring. Well, I have thought it through, come on. After that, he closed the call port. Fuck. Niu Xian couldn't bear it anymore and took off his hat, revealing his shiny, bald head. He was about to throw the hat in his hand, but felt a chill on his head, so he quickly put the hat back on. Ling Feng, listen to me. I'm Niu Xian from the Qinglong Society. Open the door for me if you know what's good for you, or you'll be done for when I get in. Ling Feng listened to Niu Xian's impotent rage through the surveillance, but he didn't care at all. Just heard him talk about the Qinglong Society, and the name sounded familiar. He looked at Lin Su, who was standing beside him. Have you heard of the Qinglong Society? Why does it sound so familiar to me? Lin Su was somewhat familiar with this name, but she just couldn't remember it for a moment. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. I know, it's the thugs you taught a lesson at the table next to us when we had barbecue tonight. Isn't he called the Qinglong Society? Ling Feng just remembered the name of the Qinglong Society. He didn't expect to meet this group of people again in the end of the world. However, he didn't meet this group of people in his previous life, but he met them in this life. It's really strange. Could it be that his rebirth changed some of his life trajectories? It's possible. He didn't meet people from the Qinglong Society in his previous life. But now that the people from the Qinglong Society are here, he has something to play with again.
Chapter 50. Niu Xian was furious when he saw Ling Feng staying at home, so he went back to prepare for a strong attack. He returned to the villa angrily and began to call his men to take their weapons and follow him. When he saw Ling Ke, he was immediately furious. He walked over and slapped her to the ground. What a bad idea you gave me. I wasted half a day. Then he led a group of people to Ling Feng's house. Ling Ke covered her cheeks swollen by Niu Xian, looked at Niu Xian's back coldly, and her eyes moved slightly. It was obviously his own stupidity, but he blamed her. Damn it! Ling Feng stood on the third floor and looked at the dozens of people walking towards him. He counted about 60 people. Everyone was holding a weapon, and the leader was a bald guy who had just put on a police uniform. He was still holding a gun, and there were several other people in the team holding guns. At this time, Wang Long called him and asked what was going on. Obviously, he had also seen this group of people. Fengzi, I'm almost bored at home every day, Wang Long complained. Ling Feng also felt that it was time for him to move around. Now there were so many people, just right to practice with them. Don't you have a gun in your hand? You can shoot, but don't kill the leader first. If you kill him, there will be no fun. Okay, no problem. Wang Long hung up the phone excitedly. As soon as Ling Feng hung up the phone, he heard gunshots from the villa next door. One of the people in the Qinglong Society not far away fell to the ground in response. The Qinglong Society members who were walking were startled by the sudden gunshot. Someone was shot. As soon as the voice fell, bang, another person in the crowd was shot, and 2 people were shot in succession, both in vital parts, and died on the spot. The people of the Qinglong Society immediately began to panic and began to flee everywhere like a headless fly. These people were originally some street thugs. They could fight and collect protection fees, but they would not dare to fight to the death. Niu Xian looked at the younger brothers who were running around, and he was so angry that he immediately cursed. Come back to me. You don't want to eat anymore, right? Whoever runs away, I will shoot him. After saying that, he raised his gun and fired a shot into the sky. The people of the Qinglong Society were also shocked by Niu Xian, and they all came back. Their boss did what he said. Niu Xian also saw the location where the shot was just fired, and raised his pistol to shoot at Wang Long's position. However, the bullet bounced directly after hitting the window and did not cause any damage at all. Fuck! It's bulletproof glass. Everyone, run to Ling Feng's villa. Niu Xian shouted loudly, calling his men to run quickly to the front. This method is indeed effective, but in the end, 4 or 5 bodies were left behind before they passed. After arriving at Ling Feng's villa, Niu Xian arranged for his men to start breaking the door. He learned from Ling Yutang that Ling Feng did not have a gun in his hand, so he was still fearless in his heart. Ling Feng looked at the idiots who were breaking the door below. It seemed that they did not learn the lesson of the previous 2 groups of people. Everyone hammered at the glass in the door, but there was no trace left. Niu Xian looked at the group of men who made no progress, and he was so angry that he jumped up and down, especially Ling Feng, who deliberately stood in the window and looked at him. And he was hugging a stunning beauty. He was furious. Take out the explosives and blow the door open for me. Niu Xian had worked in a mine before and knew how to make some explosives. These explosives were homemade explosives that he made himself. Although they were homemade explosives, they were quite powerful and could definitely blow up some ordinary walls. Lin Su saw the explosives they took out and asked worriedly, "They have explosives in their hands, so there won't be any problems, right?" Ling Feng put his arm around her shoulders and comforted her softly. "Don't worry. This little power is no threat at all." Lin Su looked at his confident face, and she felt relieved. She believed in Ling Feng's words. No matter what happened, he always looked calm, and he could solve any difficulties with a smile. This was also the reason why she was fascinated by the man in front of her. Niu Xian looked at the 2 people inside and their affectionate expressions, and her jealous eyes were about to burst into flames. Seeing his subordinates moving so slowly, he couldn't help but start to curse. "Hurry up! Put all the explosives in place." Soon, 5 or 6 explosives were placed at the gate, and Niu Xian ignited them himself. Bang! With a loud bang, the entire gate was instantly explosion. The explosion brought huge smoke. When the smoke cleared, Niu Xian and a group of younger brothers walked forward to check, and were immediately shocked. The door was intact, without even a dent. Fuck! What material is this door made of? Even a bomb can't blow it open. I don't believe it. Keep bombing it. If the door doesn't work, blow up his walls and glass. There was an explosion just now. Ling Feng only felt a slight sound and vibration, and he had to admire the good construction quality of Huaqiang Security Company. Ling Feng took Lin Su to the 3rd floor and took out a pistol. This gun was taken from Lin Su that day. Ling Feng looked at the magazine and saw 8 bullets. After getting the gun, he remembered that he didn't ask Lin Su how he got a gun. "Xiao Su, you got this gun." "I bought it from the black market. After talking to you once before the end of the world, I thought that as a woman, I had better have a weapon to protect myself. So I spent 10,000 yuan on the black market to buy this gun and 10 bullets. I didn't expect to really use it in the end. Thinking of the time when I shot Yang Tianwu and his son, I still feel scared." Ling Feng loaded the pistol neatly, opened the window a crack, and started shooting at the people below. Bang! A younger brother next to Niu Xian was shot in the head, and blood splashed on his face. Niu Xian was frightened and his face turned pale. He quickly hid behind a pillar. When he saw Ling Feng shooting on the 3rd floor, he started to shoot back. However, his shooting skills were not very good. He fired several shots in a row, but they only hit the window, and were all bounced away by the bulletproof window. But Ling Feng was different. Every time he fired, he could take a life, and every shot was a headshot. Soon, 8 people were shot in the head. The younger brothers who had been stable started to run away again after seeing their companions being shot in the head. Niu Xian was also frightened by Ling Feng's shooting skills and cursed Ling Yutang and his family for giving him inaccurate information. Just when he thought his life was in danger today, Ling Feng suddenly stopped shooting. Chapter 51. No more bullets? Haha, God won't let me die. Niu Xian ran quickly towards a gate and soon disappeared from sight. After the group of people from the Qinglong Society left, Wang Long called him again to show off his achievements. After holding back for more than half a month, he killed a few people and felt much better. Fengzi, we haven't had a drink together for a long time. I've been at home for half a month, and I'm almost moldy. Ling Feng thought about it. He and Wang Long used to go out for a drink every few days. Since the end of the world, it has been a long time since they had a drink together. Okay, let's have a drink together tonight. Wait for me in the basement now. Basement? Why go to the basement? Wang Long was full of confusion, and he didn't understand what he was up to. Ling Feng hung up the phone and told Lin Su to cook a few more dishes in the evening, because there were guests at home today. Lin Su didn't ask any more questions after hearing what he said, and went to the kitchen to get busy. Ling Feng came to the spare warehouse in the basement. He moved the cabinet against the wall, and a secret door suddenly appeared behind the cabinet. This secret door was specially reserved by Ling Feng at the beginning of the villa renovation. The other side of the secret door is connected to the basement of Wang Long's house. The material of this secret door is the same as that of the entrance door, both made of titanium alloy steel plate. The entire secret door can only be opened from this side of Ling Feng's house, and it cannot be opened from the other side. The secret door is installed very secretly, so Wang Long has never known the existence of a secret door. Ling Feng opened the secret door, and Wang Long followed Ling Feng's instructions to the location of the secret door. When he saw Ling Feng standing by the door, he shouted exaggeratedly, "Fuck, brother, you are too awesome." Wang Long looked at him in shock. He didn't expect Ling Feng to have this trick and really left a secret door. He basically came to the basement every day, but he didn't find this secret door. He walked up to Ling Feng and wanted to give him a bear hug, but he was pushed away by him. "What do you want to do? Stay away from me." Ling Feng looked at him cautiously. "Brother is a straight man. What are you thinking? I haven't seen you for a long time. Just a brotherly hug." Wang Long looked at him with resentment. Ling Feng didn't talk to him, handed him a cigarette, closed the secret door again, and led Wang Long to the first floor. The two came to the first floor. Wang Long saw Lin Su cooking in the kitchen, and his eyes were straight, a little bit unbelievable. He looked at Ling Feng in shock, walked around Ling Feng several times, and looked him up and down. "What are you doing?" Ling Feng looked at Wang Long, who was circling around him with a puzzled face. "You are really good. You have a beautiful girl in your house. You even got Lin Su." He knew Lin Su. Ling Feng had taken him and Lin Su to dinner before. Wang Long was shocked by her beauty the first time he saw her. He wanted to get her contact information, but Lin Su didn't want to talk to him at all, so he had to give up. But he never expected that such a beautiful girl would be taken by Ling Feng in the end. Wang Long was jealous to death when he saw Lin Su as a good wife and mother. Of course, he was sincerely happy for Ling Feng that his brother could find such a beautiful girlfriend. Although he had only seen Lin Su once, he could see that she was a good girl. Lin Su, who was busy in the kitchen, heard someone talking and poked her head out to check. After seeing that it was Wang Long, he came out and greeted him with a smile. "Mr. Wang, welcome to my home." "Hello, sister-in-law." Wang Long waved at Lin Su with a smile on his face. Lin Su was a little shy when she was called sister-in-law, and her cheeks were slightly red. At the same time, she was very happy. "Hello. You can chat with your brother Feng for a while. I'll go cook for you." Lin Su greeted Wang Long, and then went back to the kitchen to work. Wang Long looked at Ling Feng's face, and was so angry that he directly snatched the cigarette from his hand. The two came to a small tea room on the third floor. Ling Feng brewed a pot of dahongpo and poured him a cup. Wang Long took a sip from the teacup and tasted it slowly. "Well, good tea, authentic Wui Mountain dahongpo. I didn't expect that I could drink such good tea in the end times. How many good things did you hide? Ling Feng smiled faintly. Secrets, anyway, enough. Wang Long saw that Ling Feng didn't say anything, so he didn't ask any more questions. Anyway, his brother was trustworthy. The two drank tea and talked about what happened in the Qinglong society today. Ling Feng also explained why he didn't kill them all. Fengzi, you said they all have been beaten into such a cowardly state, and you still dare to come? They will definitely come back. They are all starving. As long as there is a little hope, they will go all out. You have to be careful too. If you attack them today, they will definitely not let you go. Ling Feng also reminded Wang Long. The two drank tea and chatted for more than an hour. At this time, Lin Su came up and called them to go downstairs for dinner. The dinner was quite rich. Lin Su was busy in the kitchen and made 8 dishes. They looked rich in color and fragrant. Wang Long was drooling. He had been eating frozen food for half a month and was tired of it. Wang Long picked up a piece of braised pork and put it in his mouth. The expression on his face changed instantly. The braised pork tasted fat but not greasy, full of gelatin. The fat was oily but not greasy. It melted in the mouth. The lean meat was fragrant but not woody, and it was rotten but not bad. It was so delicious that he wanted to cry. Wang Long gave a thumbs up. Sister-in-law, you are not only beautiful, but also delicious. This braised pork is so fragrant and tastes great. He now envied Ling Feng even more. It was worth his life to find such a good wife. Ling Feng took out 2 bottles of Mauzi, one for each person. Drink it before taking it. There was plenty of stock. Eating delicious food and drinking Mauzi, the two chatted happily. But Niu Xian was in a bit of a pity at this time. He had lost more than a dozen brothers today. And the most important thing was that his food was about to run out. The current food supply was only enough for one day. After tomorrow, his brothers would starve. Without food, they might start to make trouble. He had a headache when he thought about it. He leaned on the sofa and thought about how to get food. Seeing Ling Kur cooking in the kitchen, he immediately got angry. If it weren't for their family providing him with wrong information, he wouldn't have lost so many people. Come here, Niu Xian shouted at Ling Kur. Ling Kur looked at Niu Xian, who looked a little unhappy and felt a little uneasy. She walked over tremblingly. What are you doing? Niu Xian sneered. What are you doing? I'm very angry now, he said and pushed Ling Kur's head down. Chapter 52. Comfortable. Ling Feng stretched and sat up from the bed. He drank with Wang Long until 2 o'clock yesterday and slept until now, feeling refreshed. Ling Feng looked at the time. It was already 10 o'clock. After washing up in the bathroom, he went to the first floor to prepare for breakfast and saw Lin Su, who was watching TV series. These TV series were downloaded by Ling Feng in advance before the end of the world. Basically, all the classic movies and TV series at home and abroad were downloaded. Lin Su is watching a palace fighting drama now, and she is watching it with relish. Ling Feng is not interested in this kind of TV. A group of women are chattering around a man every day, which gives him a headache. Sometimes if you don't watch an episode, you don't know what's going on in the back. Lin Su saw Ling Feng coming downstairs, got up and greeted him. I'll go heat up breakfast for you. I didn't call you because you were sleeping soundly this morning. Ling Feng nodded. After a while, breakfast was served on the table. A bowl of tofu brain, a basket of steamed buns, 2 beef pancakes, 2 tea eggs, and a small dish of pickles. Ling Feng's appetite was boosted by watching this. He drank all night yesterday and was really hungry now. Ling Feng took out his mobile phone and found an electronic pickled mustard, clicked on it, and began to eat it with relish. After breakfast, Ling Feng felt a lot better. He was going to let Lin Su start teaching him some knowledge about genetics today. The core data left by his grandfather could not be wasted. He was going to start learning to study genetic serum and complete the unfinished work of his grandfather before his death. After his brain was upgraded, he could quickly accept a new subject, and he could also quickly complete the basic learning work. If he could solve the defects of the genetic serum, then his strength would definitely be improved again. However, he had been struggling with whether to let Lin Su participate in the research. After all, this matter was very important. But Lin Su is a rare talent. With her intelligence, if she participates in the research, she will definitely help him a lot. Just when he was still struggling, the alarm at home sounded again at an inopportune time. Ling Feng was furious. He looked out the window and saw a disheveled woman knocking on the door of his house. Ling Feng looked carefully for a long time before he recognized the woman's appearance. Yang Zihan. She has changed a lot now. She has lost a lot of weight. Her face is dirty. Her hair is messy, and her eyes are no longer as lively as before. She is completely different from the delicate and beautiful Yang Zihan before. Her expression at this time seems to be greatly frightened, and her hands keep slapping the door hard. Ling Feng saw a few people wandering around his house not far away, staring at Yang Zihan, but they dared not approach his villa. Ling Feng looked at these people and felt familiar. They should be members of the Qinglong Society. It seems that they were scared by Ling Feng's beating yesterday. They are coming for Yang Zihan. Yang Zihan is outside the door. How should we deal with it? Lin Su also saw the surveillance and came over to ask Ling Feng, "Do you want to let her in?" Ling Feng also wanted to see if Lin Su was the kind of person who was full of sympathy. If she was such a person, Ling Feng would drive her out without hesitation. In the end times, the most taboo thing is to be full of sympathy. Such people will be eaten up without leaving any residue in the end times. Lin Su shook her head. Yang Zihan is a person with a lot of scheming, and she is a person who doesn't know how to be satisfied. If you let her in, I'm afraid it's easier to invite a god than to send him away. Once others know that you let her in, more people will come here for help every day. Ling Feng was quite satisfied with Lin Su's answer. She was not a person with overflowing sympathy, and she had a relatively thorough understanding of human nature in the end times. Then you will be the villain. Ling Feng pushed her to the front door with a wicked smile and asked Lin Su to communicate with Yang Zihan, while he listened on the side. Lin Su climbed up the ladder to the communication port and opened the small door above. Yang Zihan, who was standing outside the door, saw the small door above being opened. Before she could say anything happy, she saw a familiar face. "Why is it you?" She couldn't believe her eyes. How could Lin Su appear in Ling Feng's house? Did Ling Feng let him in? Why is it her? How could Ling Feng be attracted to her when he couldn't compare to her? Where is Ling Feng? Why are you here? Yang Zihan looked at her unkindly, her eyes full of jealousy, especially when she saw her delicate face and ruddy complexion. Her hair was clean and refreshing, and her face was lightly made up. She didn't look like a model in the end times at all. She looked better than before. She looked very well. This made her very uncomfortable. Lin Su looked at her coldly. "Why I am here has nothing to do with you, and I have no obligation to report to you. Also, Ling Feng doesn't want to see you now. Don't waste your time here. Leave quickly. Don't stay at our door. You are talking nonsense." Yang Zihan was furious when she heard this. "What do you mean by your home? You just deliberately don't let me see Ling Feng. Return your home. You really think you are the mistress of this house. Aren't you just a bitch who seeks shelter by sleeping with Ling Feng? Don't pretend to be noble here." Lin Su was a little angry at Yang Zihan's scolding, and her face turned cold directly. Ling Feng couldn't help but listen to Yang Zihan's words and shouted directly to the door. "Yang Zihan, keep your mouth shut. Su is my wife. If you dare to talk nonsense again, don't blame me for being rude." Yang Zihan laughed when she heard Ling Feng's voice and immediately opened her second face, saying in a weak tone, "Brother Ling Feng, please help me. For our previous friendship, please help me once." Ling Feng felt a little disgusted when he heard her hypocritical tone. Our house is too small, and it's not convenient for you, a girl, to come in. I'm afraid Susu will be unhappy, so you should go to another house." Lin Su looked at Ling Feng speechlessly and rolled her eyes at him fiercely. "So you are the good guy here, and let him be the bad guy, right?" Facing Lin Su's rolling eyes, Ling Feng winked at her mischievously. Yang Zihan looked at Lin Su fiercely when she heard Ling Feng's words. "It turned out that you were the one who was playing tricks in the middle." Her hatred for Lin Su deepened. Not only did she snatch the boy she liked, but now she was against her everywhere. If it weren't for her, she should be the one living there now, and she should be the one enjoying all these resources. "Brother Ling Feng, don't believe what this woman Lin Su said. She has been lying to you all the time. She doesn't love you at all. She just wants to use the resources in your hands. Only I love you sincerely." Chapter 53. Yang Zihan began to sow discord between Ling Feng and Lin Su. Lin Su sneered and looked at her with disdain. "Yang Zihan, don't waste your breath. Anyway, we won't let you in. If you want to stay here, just stay here." After that, she closed the small door and ignored Yang Zihan outside the door. Yang Zihan's face flushed with anger, and her expression was full of unwillingness. She began to punch and kick the door to vent her dissatisfaction crazily, and kept cursing, but her actions did not receive any response. She panted and stared at the door of the villa with vicious eyes. "Lin Su, Ling Feng, you two dogs and couples, I will not let you go." She turned away angrily and walked towards the people of the Qinglong Society, not far away. The two members of the Qinglong Society, who were originally chasing Yang Zihan, looked at Yang Zihan, who was walking towards them, and kept looking behind her. They were afraid that the person in the villa would come out and shoot them. The fear of being dominated by Ling Feng yesterday was still vivid in their minds. Just now, they were ordered by the boss to arrest this girl, but they didn't expect that she ran out with the girl on her back. Watching her run here, the two brothers didn't dare to enter Ling Feng's villa to arrest people, so they could only observe the situation here. Unexpectedly, the girl stayed at the door for a while and actually came over on her own initiative. They couldn't understand what happened for a while. "Take me to see your boss." Yang Zihan looked at the two people expressionlessly and said, "The two King Longwei henchmen didn't dare to offend. After all, it was the person the boss named." The two took her back to the villa honestly. Soon Yang Zihan was taken to the villa where the King Longwei settled. Niu Xian, who was arranging work in the villa, saw Yang Zihan walking in from outside the door, and couldn't help but flash a ray of joy on his face. After hastily arranging the work casually, he walked to Yang Zihan with fiery eyes. He had heard of Yang Zihan before the end of the world. He could often see her on the short video platform. She was a million-level anchor, the goddess in the hearts of many boys. If I hadn't heard Ling Kur say yesterday that she lived in this community, I would have missed this beautiful woman. Although she is not as beautiful as the woman in Ling Feng's family, she is not bad. The big star is here. Niu Xian looked at Yang Zihan with a smile on his face. "Is there anything to eat?" "Brother." Yang Zihan looked at the ugly and fierce man in front of him, although he felt very disgusted. In order to fill his stomach, he could only endure the discomfort in his heart and act cute to him. Niu Xian's bones were softened by Yang Zihan's call of brother, coupled with her pitiful eyes. It made people want to pity her. "Yes, yes, yes. I'll get it for you right away." Niu Xian found Scar, who was in charge of keeping the food, and took out a bag of bread from the limited food. After thinking for a while, he felt that it was not enough, so he took another bag. He came to Yang Zihan and raised the bread in his hand. Yang Zihan was delighted to see the bread. She had not eaten bread for a long time, and she was able to survive until now only because of the compressed biscuits she had hidden. Even if her mother starved to death, she was reluctant to take out the food to share with her mother. She hurried forward. "Thank you, brother." She stretched out her hand to take the bread from Niu Xian, but Niu Xian took back his outstretched hand and looked at her with a smile in his eyes. Big Star, I didn't eat this bread for nothing. I want to have a deeper exchange with you. Let's go upstairs and talk in detail. Of course, Yang Zihan understood what he meant. She walked directly to Niu Xian's side, put her arm around him and said, I also want to have a deeper exchange with my brother. Niu Xian showed an excited look, hooked her chin, and couldn't wait to pull her upstairs for a deeper exchange. After 10 minutes of close contact, the two had a basic understanding of each other's depth. Niu Xian was lying on the bed, hugging Yang Zihan with a face full of aftertaste, with a trace of fatigue between his eyebrows. He was a little overwhelmed in recent days. On the other hand, although Yang Zihan was not very satisfied with Niu Xian's performance, she still pretended to be satisfied, which Niu Xian was very happy to see. Brother, how much food do we have at home? Yang Zihan asked softly while hugging Niu Xian's arm. Alas, there is not much food left. Her question made Niu Xian fall into trouble again, and the satisfaction just now was completely dispersed by the difficulties in front of him. He could only sigh continuously. When Yang Zihan heard that there was not much food left, she instantly lost her composure and kept scolding Niu Xian in her heart. I slept with you just to have a full meal, and now you tell me that there is not much left, you bastard eggs. Although she was unhappy, she still said to Niu Xian in a charming tone, then will we be hungry in the future? Don't worry, I'm trying to find food now. While Niu Xian was talking, his right hand kept wandering in her clothes, making his face red. Oh, Yang Zihan shouted shyly, and continued to say, while enduring the discomfort in her heart, Brother, doesn't Ling Feng have a lot of food at home? Can't we borrow some? When Niu Xian heard this, his brows frowned even more, and there was a little fear in his eyes. We tried it, and we lost more than a dozen brothers to take him down. Niu Xian directly told her about the actions he had taken against Ling Feng. Yang Zihan frowned when she heard what he said. She didn't expect Ling Feng's villa to be so sturdy. Since the extreme cold weather came, so many people, from the owners of Zizuan to Niu Xian now, have been destroying his villa. There has been no progress at all. Suddenly, she had an idea, as if she had thought of something, and looked at Niu Xian excitedly. Brother, I have a plan. I wonder if it's possible. What plan? Niu Xian is now at a loss for what to do with Ling Feng's villa. He has used all the methods he could think of, but there is no progress. Yang Zihan put her mouth close to Niu Xian's ear and muttered for a long time. Niu Xian's eyes became brighter and brighter, and his facial expressions became more and more rich. Great. You know what? Your method might really work. Why didn't I think of this? Niu Xian excitedly kissed her on the face. You are really my lucky star, baby. If this plan succeeds, you will be the biggest contributor. We won't have to suffer from hunger and cold when we live in Ling Feng's villa. You don't have to eat junk food anymore. I'll give you a big meal. Yang Zihan's plan made him feel feasible, and the haze on his face was swept away, and he seemed to be full of strength again. He looked at the tender and delicious beauty beside him, and instantly he was ready to fight again. He turned over and pressed Yang Zihan under him. Chapter 54. After Ling Feng finished a day of training, he started an hour-long intimate communication with Lin Su until both sides reached a common goal. The two were honest with each other and fell asleep in each other's arms. However, this tranquility was broken by the sound of Wang Long's phone call. Fengzi, the King Longwei gang just sneaked over to your side again. You should be careful. Ling Feng hung up the phone, a little angry. They came in the middle of the night. People don't want to sleep. He walked to the window and looked at the snow outside. Sure enough, someone kept approaching him. Everyone was carrying a large bag of things in their hands, but judging from the size of these bags, they should not be heavy objects. In addition to these large bags, some people were carrying some benches, sofas, and other materials. Ling Feng looked at this group of busy people and silently praised them in his heart. Too dedicated. As this group of people broke into the yard, the alarm sounded on time, and Ling Feng hung up the alarm. Lin Su was awakened by the alarm and looked at Ling Feng standing in front of the window with sleepy eyes. What happened outside? It's okay. It's still those people. You go back to sleep. I'll go to the second floor to see. Lin Su obediently lay down and continued to sleep. She was so sleepy that she couldn't open her eyes. After an hour of communication at night, she was really tired. Ling Feng came to the second floor and saw that the group of people from the Qinglong Society put the sofas, chairs, and bed boards against the wall and kept taking clothes out of the bags and putting them on the furniture. These people were very careful throughout the whole process and didn't make any sound. After everything was ready, Niu Xian walked out of the crowd, took out a lighter from his arms, and set all the clothes on fire. Fire attack? Ling Feng's eyes flashed with surprise. He watched the people below with interest. Under the light of the fire, everyone's face was filled with smiles. I don't know if it was the warmth brought by the fire or the joy of feeling that I would succeed. Watching the fire getting bigger and bigger, Niu Xian's mood also got better and better. Even if this fire doesn't burn your house down, the thick smoke will make you unbearable. I don't believe you can hide in this tortoise shell forever. Umph! Ling Feng was not panicked at all in the face of the raging fire. His villa was made of special materials, and the fire would not cause any damage to the house at all. At most, it could only damage the original wall outside the house. As for the smoke, he had considered this as early as the beginning of construction and modified the ventilation system of the house. The toxic gas outside would not enter the villa at all. However, watching this group of Qinglonghui people gather together to roast a fire, Ling Feng suddenly felt that this situation was extremely suitable for using a weapon. Grenade! He had 30 grenades seized from the assassin's headquarters before. After the system was copied, there were 3,000 grenades. So far, none of them have been used. You can try it out today and add a little warmth to these people of the Qinglong Society in the cold night. Ling Feng took out 2 grenades from the space, one in each hand. He pulled the pull ring on the grenade with his mouth, aimed at the crowd below, and threw it hard. At the moment of throwing, the second safety on the grenade was triggered, and the shrapnel on it was pushed open. The people of the Qinglong Society who were roasting by the fire below were enjoying the long-lost warmth, and one of them was suddenly hit on the head by an unknown object. He was so angry that he was furious on the spot, covering his head and asking, "Who hit me with a brick? Do you have any sense of public morality? This is a public place." Bang! Bang! Before he finished speaking, he heard 2 loud noises, and the whole yard was suddenly ablaze. The huge explosion spread throughout Zizwen, and everyone in the community was awakened by the 2 loud noises. Everyone leaned over the window and looked in the direction of the explosion with different expressions. Some were terrified, some were curious, and some were gloating. The smoke dissipated, and the location of the explosion gradually became clear, followed by bursts of screams. 2 large holes appeared where the members of the Qinglong Society had just gathered, and the holes were surrounded by broken limbs and arms, and the entire ground was stained red with blood. The yard was full of shredded meat, which was extremely tragic. There were also several people with broken legs, broken hands, and blind eyes lying on the ground wailing. The whole yard was like a hell on earth. Just now, 2 grenades directly took away the lives of nearly 20 people. The main reason was that this group of people gathered together and were too close, so many people died. Not far away, Niu Xian looked at the explosion that had just occurred with lingering fear. The scene of life frightened his legs weak. He was a little hot from the fire just now, and wanted to walk a little further to cool down. But he didn't expect that this action would save his life directly. Now he no longer had the idea of attacking Ling Feng. He just wanted to leave quickly. Who knows when another grenade will be thrown at him? It seemed to confirm his idea. Bang! Another grenade was detonated not far away, and 5 people were blown to the ground in an instant, and 2 of them kept wailing. One of them was his capable man, Scarface. The palm of a man was blown directly in front of him. Retreat quickly! Niu Xian ran away and never dared to stay here again. This place is simply hell, a man-eating devil's cave. He swore that he would never provoke Ling Feng again in his life. As for the injured men, he didn't care. Damn, I can't save myself, I don't care. Even if I save him, this kind of wound will eventually kill him. He kept comforting himself in his heart. The dozen or so survivors watched the boss take the lead and flee, and they followed in a panic. Ling Feng looked at the people who escaped and didn't intend to stop. He took out his favorite AK from the space and started the hunting game. Since the end of the world, his AK has never been used, and it's time to exercise today. He aimed at the heart of the person running at the back and pulled the trigger decisively. Puff! The rifle in his hand made a slight sound, and the target in the distance fell to the ground. Then he continued to aim at the next target, one shot after another, and every shot hit the target accurately. In a very short time, he shot and killed 8 people. Good performance. Ling Feng was in a good mood. His shooting skills became more and more accurate. Since he injected the gene serum, his concentration has improved rapidly, and his shooting skills have become more and more accurate. Ling Feng closed the window and put the AK into the space. There were still people howling in the yard. If no one rescued them, these people would freeze to death even if they did not die from excessive bleeding. However, Ling Feng would not be so kind as to save these people. These people had committed many evil deeds and deserved to die. It was just that seeing so many corpses and broken hands and feet in the yard was indeed a bit uncomfortable, which seriously affected his mood and appetite. He had to find a way to clean up the corpses in the yard. Chapter 55. After killing more than 20 people from the Qinglong Society last time, Niu Xian has been honest for a while. Ling Feng has been relatively calm for 10 consecutive days. These days, Ling Feng has been studying genetics at home. Ling Feng's learning speed is also quite fast. Even Lin Su sighed that he is a genius. Some difficult knowledge can be understood by Ling Feng after listening to it once, and he can also apply it to other situations. The problem of not understanding does not exist at all for Ling Feng. In just 10 days, Ling Feng has learned all the knowledge that others need several years to learn, and can use it flexibly. After all, developing 20% of the brain is not a lie. In the next few days, Ling Feng began to get involved in the research of genetic serum. After repeated consideration, Ling Feng still let Lin Su join the research of genetic serum. Through the in-depth contact these days, he gradually became familiar with Lin Su and gradually let down his guard. Although she was allowed to join the research work, she was not allowed to access the core data. After all, this matter is very important. After 2 days of research, he found that his laboratory was missing 2 mechanical devices and some genetic samples. These devices are large equipment, and Grandpa did not equip them at home. This kind of equipment is only available in the company's laboratory. Ling Feng had a headache. Now is the end of the world, and he has no idea what the outside world is like. His philosophy has always been to stay alive, and he doesn't want to put himself in danger. But if he doesn't go to the company, the research work on the genetic serum will come to a standstill. Thinking over and over again, Ling Feng felt that he still had to go to the company. The genetic serum determines his future strength, and he must take a risk. But before leaving the villa, he had to clear the uncertain factors in the villa. Otherwise, he couldn't leave with peace of mind. Ling Feng looked at the group of corpses outside, and suddenly had a way in his mind. In the past few days, someone has been secretly coming to move the corpses, including people from the Qinglong Society and the natives of Zizuan. Today was no exception. Ling Feng looked at the 2 people who were tiptoeing towards him from a distance, and cautiously poked his head into the villa. Ling Feng looked at the faces of the 2 people. They were the natives of Zizuan. They were 2 brothers who had jointly opened a construction company before the end of the world. Ling Feng stood in front of the window on the 3rd floor and opened it. The 2 brothers who were originally planning to move the corpse secretly saw Ling Feng open the window, and they turned around and ran away in fear. In the minds of these people, Ling Feng is now a living devil, a killer who kills without blinking an eye. "Stop!" Ling Feng shouted, and the two people who were originally running away ran faster, fearing that they would be killed by Ling Feng if he was unhappy. "If you run again, I will shoot." Ling Feng raised his voice, took out his pistol, and fired a shot into the sky. The two brothers stood there, too scared to move. They had heard of Ling Feng's shooting skills. "Come here, you two. I have something to ask you." The two men turned around and walked into the villa tremblingly. Their expressions were uglier than their father's death. One of the older men trembled and said, "Ling Feng, we just want to move a body back. We really have no other ideas. Don't kill us." Ling Feng was a little speechless. He was not the kind of person who killed innocent people indiscriminately. As long as others did not provoke him, he would not take the initiative to kill people. "Who said I want to kill you? I have something to ask you. Good things." He took out 2 steaming buns from the space and threw them at the feet of the 2 men. "For you." The 2 brothers looked at the big white buns that fell at their feet, which were steaming. They couldn't help it, and they took the buns and stuffed them into their mouths. The 2 men ate the hot buns, and for the first time they felt that the buns were so delicious. Because they were hungry for too long, they swallowed a bun in 2 or 3 bites. After eating the steamed buns, the 2 of them savored the taste of the steamed buns with satisfaction. They ate too fast and finished them before they could taste them carefully. The older man looked at Ling Feng and knelt down and kowtowed and kept thanking him. "Thank you. You are such a kind man. My life belongs to you." The younger brother standing next to him looked at his brother kneeling down and knelt down and kowtowed to thank him. "You are our great benefactor, and we brothers will follow you to death after we come." The 2 people who kept kowtowing and thanking him did not waver in their hearts. "You still want to follow me? What a waste. I don't need a waste of food," Ling Feng sneered in his heart. "Do you want to be with me every day in the future? There are steamed buns to eat." Ling Feng's tone was full of temptation. "Think about it. I dream about it." The 2 brothers knelt on the ground and nodded continuously. "Go and call all the living people in Zizuan and tell them that I will give out food for free." Ling Feng said to the 2 brothers below, "Master, we brothers will do it now." Zhang Ning flattered casually and pulled his brother Zhang in to call people. Lin Su on the side was a little puzzled by Ling Feng's behavior. "Why do you suddenly want to give them food?" Ling Feng smiled mysteriously. "You will know later." After a while, people started to walk slowly towards Ling Feng. After about an hour, almost everyone was there. Ling Feng saw many familiar faces in the crowd, such as Yang Zihan and Ling Qir. But he didn't see Ling Yutong. He didn't know if he was dead or didn't dare to come. Zhang Ning squeezed out of the crowd and looked at Ling Feng with a flattering face and said, "Report to the master. Everyone in our community is here." Ling Feng nodded. He roughly pointed at the heads. The number of people in Zizuan was less than 30. Only 26 people were left. The entire villa area of Zizuan, which originally had more than 300 people, now is less than 10%, and the mortality rate is not low. Everyone's face became numb, thin, and withered, like a refugee. Ling Feng cleared his throat and said to the people below, "Dear neighbors, in view of your hunger, I am deeply saddened. I decided to take out my limited food to help you. I will give everyone a steamed bun now. Everyone line up now." Zhang Ning organized the others to line up. The owner below, who had originally had numb eyes, gradually became excited when he heard that there were steamed buns to eat, but he still couldn't believe that Ling Feng was really so kind. Zhang Ning below began to line up in an orderly manner, with the 24 people organized by Zhangin. When the people below lined up honestly, Ling Feng took out a plastic bag, took out 26 steamed buns from the space, and put them in, and threw them down from the 3rd floor. "Zhang Ning, Zhangin, you two start distributing steamed buns now." Chapter 56. 26 steamed buns were quickly distributed. "This steamed bun is so delicious, so sweet. I ate it in 2 bites and I couldn't taste it. It's the most delicious thing I've ever eaten. I'm even hungrier now." The crowd began to talk to each other slowly, and everyone's face was filled with a long-lost smile. Sometimes happiness is really simple, and a steamed bun is enough to satisfy these elites for a whole day. But not everyone's face is happy, such as Yang Zihan and Ling Kur. Yang Zihan looked extremely ugly, looking at Lin Su next to Ling Feng with hatred, looking at Lin Su's delicate face and decent clothes. Compared with her, I am just a beggar. All this is because Lin Su took away what belongs to me. Ling Kur's eyes flickered slightly, and her expression was complicated. Her eldest brother was shot and killed by Ling Feng. Her second brother was also killed by the explosion, and her father was now only waiting to die. The culprit for all this was Ling Feng. However, facing Ling Feng's steamed bun, she did not refuse, because she did not have the courage to refuse. Her own plan did not cause any harm to Ling Feng, which greatly frustrated her self-confidence. The feeling of frustration lingered in her heart. Ling Feng looked at the owners of Zizuan below who had finished their steamed buns and said kindly, "Are the steamed buns delicious?" "Delicious, very delicious. Ling Feng's steamed buns are the most delicious. I can eat 10 of these steamed buns." The people below were talking at once, flattering Ling Feng one by one, and Ling Feng continued to say without caring, "If anyone can kill a member of the Qinglong Society, I will reward him with 5 steamed buns, and a bucket of instant noodles and a bag of pickled mustard." As soon as Ling Feng finished speaking, the people below opened their eyes wide, their eyes full of greed and excitement. Some people have already started to think about how to kill one. After all, that's 5 steamed buns, and if they save it, they can eat it for 10 days. Some people have a trace of fear of the Qinglong Society in their eyes. These guys are all fierce guys, and they killed several disobedient owners a few days ago. Ling Feng saw that although some of the group were ready to move, they were only a small part, and most of them were unmoved. It seemed that they were afraid of the Qinglong Society. He decided to raise the conditions. He said in a deep voice, 10 steamed buns, 2 buckets of instant noodles, and 1 head of a Qinglong Society member. If anyone can kill Niu Xian, in addition to doubling the reward, I will give him an extra roast chicken. After saying this, Ling Feng took out a steaming roast chicken. The roast chicken was big and fat with golden skin, and it looked delicious. The owners below were all staring at the roast chicken in Ling Feng's hand, drooling, and wishing they could grab it and take a bite now. Ling Feng showed the roast chicken for a few seconds and then put it away. Everyone was still not satisfied with it, and their eyes were full of desire. "Okay, that's all I have to say. If anyone completes these goals, just come to me to redeem the reward. I'll wait for your good news here. Come on, everyone." Ling Feng closed the window after saying that, and ignored these people. Lin Su looked at Ling Feng with admiration. "So you want to use these owners to eradicate the Qinglong Society? Let them fight each other?" Ling Feng looked at her with a teachable expression, patted her plump buttocks and said, "Smart." The owners below began to discuss in 2s and 3s. The people who were still wary of each other now shook hands and made peace because they had a common goal. Yang Zihan and Ling Kur also gathered together and whispered something. After the 2 women reached a consensus, they left together. Ling Feng's purchase of the lives of the Qinglong Society was soon known to Niu Xian. Although the Qinglong Society did not go, they arranged an insider in this group of people. Once there is any movement from the group of people in Zizuan, he will know it immediately. Niu Xian didn't care about Ling Feng's wanted order. He still had 8 or 9 people under him. Although they were not as many as the group of owners in Zizuan, they were all fierce. He had defeated all the owners. He didn't believe that they dared to challenge his authority, unless they didn't want to die. But he forgot how attractive food was to a group of starving people. In the end times, a piece of bread can cost a person's life, not to mention the high price offered by Ling Feng. It was soon night. Although Niu Xian said that he didn't care, he was still a little uneasy in his heart. He arranged for his group of younger brothers to take turns to stand guard at his door. Although the younger brothers were a little unhappy, they didn't dare to say anything. After all, Niu Xian still had a gun in his hand. If he doesn't do it well, he will be shot. Niu Xian lay on the bed, enjoying the service of Yang Zihan and Ling Ke. This was the time when he felt most comfortable. Brother, how about the three of us tonight? Yang Zihan looked at Niu Xian shyly. Her face was like a peach blossom, and she looked ready to be picked. Niu Xian's heart was moved when he heard this. He had always wanted to have a group sex before, but Yang Zihan refused to do it. He didn't expect that she would take the initiative to propose it today. She looked so pure, but she was still a slut in her bones. Okay, I've been waiting for you to say this. Niu Xian stared at her soft place, his eyes full of eagerness. Yang Zihan and Ling Ke smiled knowingly, and the two of them pressed against Niu Xian. Soon there was a lively conversation in the room. This made the two younger brothers, standing guard outside the door, miserable. The two looked at each other with longing in their eyes, and they were full of envy for the boss in the room. But who let him be the boss? The two could only think about it in their hearts, and at worst they would solve it themselves later. 2 hours later, Yang Zihan and Ling Ke looked at Niu Xian, who was sleeping like a dead pig on the bed, with disgust in their eyes. In order to please Niu Xian, the two of them showed their best skills. Niu Xian lay on the bed with a tired face and fell asleep. A ray of light flashed in Yang Zihan's eyes, and she tentatively called out, "Brother?" Ling Ke also put her mouth to his ear and whispered, "Brother, are you asleep?" She pushed him hard with her hand. After confirming that he was completely asleep, the two looked at each other, began to grope on the bed, and finally took out the pistol that Niu Xian had placed under the pillow. Yang Zihan held the gun and looked at Niu Xian with a ferocious face. She had been bullied by this disgusting man for so long, and now she felt sick just thinking about it. Now, she could finally kill this man with her own hands and avenge her chastity. He pointed the gun at Niu Xian's chest. Bang! 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 After firing 3 shots in a row, Niu Xian met God without even having time to scream. Chapter 57. After hearing the gunshot, the two younger brothers who were standing guard outside the door immediately asked loudly, "Boss, are you okay?" But no one responded, so he tried to shout again, "Boss!" Still no one responded. The two of them immediately felt that something might have happened and prepared to break in. But at this time, the door suddenly opened. It was Ling Ke who opened the door. At this time, she said with horror, "Your boss was shot and killed by Yang Zihan, and she also shot herself." Upon hearing this, the two hurriedly walked into the house. The house was a little dark, due to the power outage. They could only rely on the faint moonlight to see the situation in the house. The two walked straight into the house without noticing Yang Zihan hiding behind the door. Yang Zihan raised a gun and fired several shots at the backs of the two without hesitation. The two younger brothers received lunch boxes on the spot, killing several people in just a few minutes. She not only did not feel uncomfortable, but also had a bloodthirsty pleasure. Fortunately, she had been to the shooting gallery with her father several times before, so she was familiar with the use of firearms. After killing the two younger brothers, Yang Zihan and Ling Ke began to act quickly, chopping off the heads of several people and putting them away. After doing all this, the two worked together to hide the bodies under the bed. According to the plan, Yang Zihan hid behind the door, and Ling Ke went out to lure the next target. Soon Ling Ke brought the next unlucky guy to the door of the room. Huang Mao said to Ling Ke with excitement, "Sister-in-law, is Big Brother sure he won't come back tonight?" Ling Ke took his arm and whispered in her ear, "Don't worry, he said he won't stay here tonight. Zihan and I promise to make you comfortable tonight." Huang Mao couldn't stand it immediately. His eyes were full of eagerness and excitement. He wanted to kill the little bitch right away. The key is that she is his boss's woman. Just thinking about it is exciting. As the saying goes, nothing tastes better than dumplings, especially Yang Zihan. He has been coveting her for a long time. As soon as Ling Ke opened the door, he couldn't wait to hug her and kiss her, not paying any attention to the woman behind him. Bang! The bullet hit the yellow-haired man's back. He felt pain in his body and hurriedly looked back. Before he turned around, another shot came, and this time the bullet hit his heart. He fell to the ground powerlessly, his eyes full of confusion and unwillingness. Before he died, he only saw Ling Ke walking towards him with a shiny machete. Yang Zihan and Ling Ke used this method to eliminate all the members of the Qinglong society in one night. After completing all this, the two smiled at each other with relief. Looking at the heads on the ground, their eyes were full of joy. In their eyes, these heads are food. At dawn the next day, the two packed up all the heads of these people and prepared to go to Ling Feng to exchange them for food. Ling Feng, who was still sleeping, was awakened by a burst of alarms. He walked to the window and saw Yang Zihan and Ling Ke pulling two large suitcases. Ling Feng opened the window and looked at the two people below. "Why are you here so early in the morning?" "Ling Feng, do you still count what you said yesterday?" Yang Zihan asked in a cold tone. The killings all night made her heart gradually cold. Ling Feng yawned, stretched and said, "Of course, as long as you bring the heads, I will never break my promise." After hearing what Ling Feng said, the two squatted down and unzipped the suitcase without saying a word, revealing the heads inside. No more, no less, a total of 10. Niu Xian was among them. Ling Feng looked at the two people with some surprise, with a hint of surprise in his eyes. "You killed all these?" The two nodded. Ling Feng didn't say anything else, and directly took out 2 roast chickens from the space and threw them to the two people. Ling Feng thought they did a good job and decided to reward them one. When the two saw the 2 roast chickens being thrown down, they ran over and picked up the roast chickens on the ground and started to eat them wildly. The two people ate with oil dripping from their mouths. Their mouths were full, and only the roast chickens in their hands were in their eyes. This was the first time they had hot meat after the end of the world. The 2 roast chickens were quickly eaten up without even a bone left. The two licked their lips with satisfaction and smiled at each other. It was so delicious. Ling Feng packed 2 large bags of the remaining steamed buns and instant noodles for them and threw them down from the 3rd floor. The two took the food and said nothing more, turned around and left. Ling Feng was also very happy. He only paid a little bit of food to catch all the people from the Qinglong society. This deal was worth it. Next, he could rest assured to go out. But before going out, we still have to control the remaining people in Zizwen, and we can't let these people cause trouble for ourselves. Soon Jiangning and Zhang'an came to Ling Feng's courtyard. When they saw Ling Feng, they knelt down to greet him, flattering him to the extreme. Ling Feng felt that these two people were somewhat self-aware and kept their attitude very low. Ling Feng took out 2 boxes of instant noodles from the space and threw them down. "Reward for you." "Thank you, master." "Thank you, master." The two kowtowed crazily to thank him and drooled at the instant noodles in their hands. This thing is a rare thing. The old pickled cabbage is delicious just thinking about it. You two go tell those owners to obey my command from today and work for me. I will give them a steamed bun every day. No one will not participate in the labor. Come to me every afternoon to get the steamed buns. After that, he threw another walkie-talkie down. Now the mobile phone is useless. This kind of walkie-talkie can be said to be the most practical in the current apocalypse. There are many such walkie-talkies in his space. He looted a lot of them when he bought them for 0 yuan before. Now, they are just in use. Use this to contact me in the future. Channel 5. Yes, master. After receiving the order, the two took the walkie-talkie and left in a hurry. Soon, the owners of Zizwen were gathered together again, but the number of people today was 2 less than yesterday. Jiangning said that 2 people had a fever yesterday and did not survive, so Ling Feng did not care. As usual, Ling Feng first gave each person a steamed bun. After everyone ate the steamed buns, Ling Feng spoke. From today on, those who work for me will have food, and those who don't will not. I will reward those who perform well. Also, from now on, you must listen to the arrangements of Zhang En and Zhang Ning. I will let them give you instructions if there is anything. After speaking, he looked at the reactions of the crowd. Everyone's face was filled with smiles. They no longer had to go hungry. Although there was only one steam bun, it was enough to save their lives. Thank you for the gift, Master. Zhang Ning took the lead and knelt down to kowtow to Ling Feng. When the others saw it, they also knelt down and shouted, "Thank you for the gift, Master." Chapter 58. It has been almost a month since the end of the world. After solving the problem in Zizuan, Ling Feng decided to go out and look for resources at Qinhu Pharmaceutical Company. He put on professional-grade cold-proof clothing, snow boots, tactical gloves, and upgraded bulletproof vests. The bulletproof vests were found by him in the killer organization. After the upgrade, they are not only lighter, but also more bulletproof. He loaded all his sniper rifles and filled all the magazines with bullets before preparing to go out. Be careful on the road. Lin Su looked worried and kept tidying up his clothes. Don't worry. Wait for me to come back at home. Ling Feng kissed her cheek, walked to the entrance, and opened the door. The moment he opened the door, the cold wind blew towards him, making him squint unconsciously. After nearly a month, Ling Feng stepped out of his own door for the first time. He took out a snowmobile from the space. Ling Feng spent 500,000 yuan to buy this car. After Ling Feng's upgrade, the speed can reach 300 kilometers per hour, and the stability and shock absorption effect are excellent. It is definitely an excellent tool for traveling in the end times. For Ling Feng, who likes motorcycles, this car definitely meets his aesthetic taste. At that time, Ling Feng fell in love with this motorcycle at first sight and bought 10 at a time. In the end times, this thing is a consumable, and you must prepare more, but after the upgrade, this car has a strong ability to withstand pressure. Ling Feng got on the car, put on a helmet, and started the car. The huge roar directly attracted the attention of other people in Zizuan. Looking at Ling Feng, who was going out, others did not dare to have any improper thoughts. Just look at the rifle behind him, and you will know. In the corner, a pair of cold eyes stared at the direction where Ling Feng left, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. After leaving the community, the car entered the road, but now it is impossible to tell which is the road. After a month of blizzard, the snow on the entire road has reached a thickness of 5 meters. The shops on both sides of the road have been submerged by the snow, and only the original purpose can be identified from the doorheads above. Ling Feng, according to his memory, went all out in the direction of the company. Under the blowing of the cold wind, the motorcycle sped on the road quickly. There was no one on the empty road, and Ling Feng felt very happy. After being stuck at home for such a long time, it was the first time to breathe the fresh air outside. This feeling of freedom was so refreshing. Halfway through the journey, a red building came into view not far away, and the 4 big characters of Longwood Petrochemical on the door of the building came into view. Ling Feng's eyes lit up. Gas station. He really lacked these resources now. Although Ling Feng also stockpiled some gasoline and diesel before the end of the world, the quantity was limited, and it was only enough for him to use for 10 years at most. This made Ling Feng a little anxious. In addition, the fuel consumption of the snowmobile he was driving was also high, so his stock was not enough. A gas station in front of him can just solve his urgent needs. Ling Feng drove the car to the gas station. At this time, the gas station was completely buried in the snow. If he wanted to enter the underground oil tank, he had to dig the ground. Ling Feng looked at the gas station and felt a little troubled. First, the frozen snow was too thick and difficult to clean. Another thing was that he didn't know the entrance to the oil tank. If he cleaned the entire ground of the gas station, this project would be too big. Ling Feng took out the icebreaker in the space and began to try to clean it. With his strong physique, he soon cleared the ice layer with a radius of 2 meters around in an hour. Ling Feng was a little dissatisfied. At this speed, it would be difficult for him to clear the snow in one day. He decided to give up temporarily and remember this place to come back next time. This matter is not the most urgent at the moment. Now he should go to the company to get the equipment first. He put away the tools and got in the car, ready to drive away. He looked back with a feeling. It seems that since he came to this gas station, he always has a feeling of uneasiness in his heart. I always felt that something was staring at me, but I couldn't see anything because everything around me was white. Ling Feng laughed at himself. Then he started the car and left with a roar. Not long after he left, a huge figure emerged from a pile of snow, staring at the direction where Ling Feng left with cold eyes. Then he disappeared in a flash. After leaving California Station, Ling Feng started to drive towards the city center with all his strength. After 20 minutes of driving, he finally arrived at the center of Shangjing City. This used to be the most prosperous place in Shangjing City. At the end in the past, this place was crowded with people every day, with a scene of feasting and revelry. Now, it is just a vast expanse of white. There is no one on the empty streets anymore. This huge gap makes Ling Feng sigh at the cruelty of the end of the world. Ling Feng slowed down and began to look for the company's building. Since most of the buildings on the ground were covered with snow, he could only look for it in a general direction. After searching for a few minutes, he finally saw the company's building. But what surprised him was that people appeared outside the building. Living people. When Ling Feng saw them, the group of people just happened to see him. Ling Feng looked at the group of people carefully and found that they were all wearing uniform clothes, and everyone was very burly, and they were all martial artists, and everyone had a weapon on his waist. Ling Feng looked at the group of people cautiously and touched the pistol on his waist. Ling Feng drove the motorcycle towards a group of people slowly, ready to attack at any time. The group of people on the opposite side watched Ling Feng approaching slowly and began to look at him warily. One of the bearded men looked at the leader of their group and said, "Brother Kuan, someone is coming. Do you want to?" He made a gesture of wiping his neck with his hand. The man named Brother Kuan looked at him with some displeasure. "I told you, when you are working, you should call your position." Brother Kuan spoke with an androgynous voice, and with his fair and beautiful face, it was really hard to tell whether he was a man or a woman. Let's take a look at the situation first. Don't make trouble. The subordinate saw that Brother Kuan was a little angry and nodded with a somewhat unnatural look. Ling Feng stopped not far from the group of people, pulled out the car key, and walked towards a group of people. It was not that he wanted to contact this group of people, but the location of this group of people happened to be the location of the Tianhu Pharmaceutical Company building, so Ling Feng had to contact them. "Stop! What are you doing?" The bearded man stood up and questioned in a tough tone. Ling Feng frowned. This tone of voice made him very unhappy. "What's none of your business? Get out of here." The bearded man's expression suddenly turned cold when he heard this. "Boy, I'll give you a chance to reorganize your words. Otherwise, you'll stay here today. If you know what's good for you, apologize to me. Leave your snowmobile behind and get out." Ling Feng smiled faintly. He was really looking for death. Chapter 59. Ling Feng is absolutely confident in his current strength, and he is not afraid even if the other party has a gun. Now his physical data has reached 60 times that of ordinary people. With his current speed, he is confident that he can quickly kill these people. Even if these people have guns in their hands, he can kill them before they pull out their guns. Want a car? Then it depends on whether you have the ability. Ling Feng took off his helmet and threw it aside, revealing his tough face. When Brother Kuan, who was standing not far away, saw Ling Feng's face, his expression moved, his eyes flowed, and the corners of his mouth rose. The men standing next to him got goosebumps when they saw their boss's expression. Their boss is a fencing enthusiast. As long as he shows this expression, he is moved. Brother Kuan looked at the pretty boy opposite with a hint of ambiguity. "Beard, I want to live." Brother Kuan said to the bearded man, looking at Ling Feng eagerly, with a blush on his cheeks. Ling Feng looked at the androgynous pervert opposite him flirting with him, and suddenly felt a chill in his heart. His hair stood on end, and he almost vomited his breakfast in the morning. He frowned and looked at the pervert opposite him, feeling uncomfortable all over. After receiving Brother Kuen's order, the bearded man opposite walked towards Ling Feng with a playful look on his face and said with some amusement, "Boy, you are lucky. Our boss has taken a fancy to you. You don't have to die immediately. As long as you serve well, maybe our boss will be kind enough to spare your life, hee." When the bearded man wanted to continue talking, he saw Ling Feng running at an incredible speed. He hurriedly tried to resist, but it was too late. "Pa!" The bearded man was slapped and flew away, falling directly to the ground 4 or 5 meters away, and then slid on the ground for more than 10 meters. Half of his face was swollen like a pig's head, and he lay on the ground with blood mixed with teeth all over the ground. The slap just now was very powerful, and it directly broke his jaw. If it weren't for his strong physique, this slap would have taken his life. But now he is not feeling well. His whole head is buzzing, as if thousands of bees are in his ears. Noisy. Ling Feng shook his hand in disgust. When the people in the distance saw the scene, they looked angry. Only Brother Kuen didn't care, and there was a hint of surprise on his face. The corners of his mouth curled up, revealing an evil smile. Interesting. He licked his lips with a scarlet tongue. "You 5 come together. Catch him alive." The 5 people here couldn't help it, and they wanted to kill this person immediately. After receiving Brother Kuen's order, 5 people surrounded Ling Feng with fierce faces. Brother Kuen said to catch him alive, but he didn't say not to beat him. He must be beaten until he surrenders. One of them said with a vicious face, "Brothers, wait until the boss is done, and then torture him. I will smash all his bones one by one. If you want to blame someone, blame your bad luck." Everyone laughed grimly, looking like they were sure of victory. They were all specially trained fighters. Each of them could beat a group of ordinary people, and it would be easy for the 5 of them to catch the pretty boy in front of them. This kid just relied on his speed to sneak attack, as long as they were a little more cautious. The 5 people exerted their strength at the same time and grabbed Ling Feng from different directions. Ling Feng did not change his expression in the face of the attack, took the initiative to attack, and quickly punched one of them. Ling Feng did not hold back, but attacked with all his strength, at a speed so fast that it was impossible to see with the naked eye. Facing the attack, the man on the opposite side did not react in time and was hit in the head by a punch. After killing one person, the encirclement formed by the 5 people was directly broken. Ling Feng did not stop and continued to attack the others. With a side kick, the person next to him was kicked out directly and hit the glass of the building, which was instantly broken, and it did not stop until it hit the pillars in the room. Standing not far away, Brother Kuen looked at Ling Feng, who quickly killed 2 people on the field, and was a little surprised. He did not expect that this thin and weak young man was so fierce. This is too capable. What a fierce young man. But he was not panicked at all, and he was obviously sure of victory. The other 3 people were also panicked when they saw Ling Feng easily kill 2 people, and they had the idea of retreating. They are all workers, all for a living. Why play with their lives? However, Ling Feng did not give them this opportunity. He attacked with 3 consecutive punches and sent the 3 people home directly. Pa pa pa. Brother Kuen applauding, looking at him with satisfaction. "Little brother, you are so fierce. I like it so much." Ling Feng frowned. His face looked uglier than eating a dead fly. "Stupid sissy, don't discuss me here." Brother Kuen still looked at him affectionately, not caring about Ling Feng's abuse at all, and said with a smile, "I just like your rudeness. Come on, ravage me as much as you want." "Zero?" Ling Feng said in confusion. Brother Kuen nodded shyly. "Go to hell, you gay." Ling Feng really wanted to kill this time. He took out the Tang sword from the space and slashed at Brother Kuen. Brother Kuen was shocked by his operation of taking things out of thin air, and in this moment of daze, Ling Feng had already attacked him with a sword. Brother Kun quickly dodged, and the Tang sword slashed down along one side of his clothes. He quickly distanced the two of them and felt a chill on his body. He looked down and found that his clothes had just been chopped by the Tang sword, revealing the fair skin underneath. He then put away his playful expression and looked at Ling Feng with a serious face and said, "Are you also a genetic warrior?" Ling Feng's eyes were stern, and his murderous intent was even stronger. Since the other party saw his difference, it seemed that the other party should also be a genetic warrior. It was impossible for an ordinary person to dodge his attack just now, unless his body was far superior to others. It seemed that he was not the only one in the world who had been injected with genetic serum. "Who are you?" Ling Feng said coldly. Brother Kun smiled charmingly. "As long as the little brother agrees to one condition for me, I will tell you." Ling Feng did not speak, but told him directly with his actions. He raised his long sword and continued to attack Brother Kun. Brother Kun took out two short swords from his waist and attacked the long sword. The moment the two swords touched, Brother Kun's short sword was directly split in half by the Tang sword. The Tang sword continued to attack and chopped towards Brother Kun's head. Brother Kun was startled and quickly turned his head to dodge. The Tang sword chopped into his shoulder close to his hair. He retreated backwards with pain. He quickly took out a syringe from his waist, which was filled with light green liquid. He inserted the syringe into the artery in his neck without hesitation and injected the green drug into it. Ling Feng looked at this madman with some fear, holding the long sword in his hand tightly, ready to attack at any time. Brother Kun's body on the opposite side began to change rapidly. Chapter 60. Brother Kun's body began to expand as if it was inflated. The height of the whole person was also constantly rising, and soon it broke through 2 meters. His clothes were all blown up because of the change in his body, revealing his thick arms. Only the extremely elastic pink thong was left on his body. The originally fair face turned dark green, emitting a faint glow. A pair of red eyes shot out a bloodthirsty light. "Hulk!" Ling Feng looked at Brother Kun's appearance at this time with some surprise, which was very similar to a movie character. But looking at the eye-catching thong in the middle of his middle, Ling Feng felt that his eyes were greatly insulted. "Dead pervert," Ling Feng muttered. "Boy, I have changed my mind now. I will crush every bone in your body," Brother Kun said in a muffled voice. He grabbed the body of his companion next to him and threw it at Ling Feng. Extremely irritable, Ling Feng looked at the monster that was a head taller than him. His expression slightly changed. He dared not move forward rashly and took a half step back without leaving any trace. But Brother Kun obviously would not stand there honestly for him to watch, and rushed towards Ling Feng in one step. Brother Kun's speed was extremely fast, basically comparable to Ling Feng's. Ling Feng held the knife with both hands and slashed at Brother Kun's waist. The long knife cut through the air with a burst of breaking sounds. Brother Kun sneered, did not dodge, and directly used his arm to block. He was obviously very confident in his defense, but he underestimated the sharpness of the Tang sword. The long knife did not have any obstruction, and directly cut off his arm, and the thick arm was chopped off directly. But he did not seem to feel the pain. His expression did not change. And the other hand grabbed towards Ling Feng's heart. Ling Feng had no time to dodge, and was hit by the opponent's fist. His body instantly retreated dozens of steps before he lost his strength. But he did not suffer any substantial damage. "You are useless even if I give you a chance," Ling Feng said with a sneer on his face. Brother Kun was so angry that he pounded his hands on the ground, waving his only remaining arm and rushing towards him. After losing an arm, Brother Kun's attack power decreased, and Ling Feng was much calmer. Facing Brother Kun's attack, he dodged left and right, and Brother Kun's fist didn't even touch the corner of his clothes. Brother Kun gradually became more and more irritable. The green face showed a hint of red. Ling Feng found the right opportunity and chopped down at his arm. With a click, Brother Kun's other arm was cut off again. Without his arms, Brother Kuen's strength was greatly reduced. But he did not give up the attack, but used his body as a weapon to hit Ling Feng. But Ling Feng had been prepared for it, and the moment he cut off his arm, he immediately dodged to the side. Ling Feng immediately dodged behind him and chopped his neck with the Tang Dao. With a sharp knife, Brother Kuen's head was chopped off. The headless Brother Kuen continued to run forward. He didn't stop until he hit a wall. Ling Feng looked at the bodies lying on the ground, frowning deeply. Who are these people? Ling Feng was full of doubts. It seems that this world is not as simple as he thought. He encountered such a thing on his first day out. The outside world is too scary, and the people he just killed should have been injected with genetic drugs. This group of people appeared downstairs of Qinhu Pharmaceutical Company. Could it be that this group of people is looking for something? If it is really as he guessed, this group of people should be coming for the genetic serum. Then his situation is a little unsafe, and he is afraid that it will find his head sooner or later. He must find out who these people are as soon as possible. Ling Feng came to the bodies of the few people he had just killed and began to look for useful clues on them. MK. Ling Feng found the same letter logo on the clothes of this group of people. Could it be someone from MK Pharmaceuticals? Ling Feng had heard from his grandfather before that MK had taken the initiative to find him. He wanted to participate in the research of genetic serum with him, but was rejected by his grandfather. Judging from today's situation, it is very likely that MK is still determined to find clues about genetic serum in the company. Ling Feng searched for a long time, but did not find any other clues. He collected all the guns of several people and put them into the space, and also put the snowmobile into the space. Ling Feng walked towards the company's building. The company's gate had long been buried under the heavy snow, and the ground was basically level with the third floor of the building. Ling Feng smashed a glass in front of him with a punch and lowered his body, walked in. He came to the fire escape staircase with ease. Now the global power outage elevators could not be used, so he could only take the elevator to the 88th floor. The 88th floor is the company's laboratory, where all the company's new product research and development is completed. With a strong physique, Ling Feng climbed to the 88th floor without blushing or panting. Looking at the closed door of the laboratory, Ling Feng prepared to blow it open with a grenade. These doors are all bulletproof glass. Ling Feng was too lazy to use other things to break them open, so he just used a grenade to blow them up. Anyway, he had more grenades. He took out a grenade and threw it in the direction of the door. With a loud bang, the door was blown to pieces. This grenade is easy to use. It seems that I will have to get more grenades in the future. Ling Feng came to the laboratory and began to quickly collect experimental equipment. He put all the equipment into the space in one go. Anyway, his space was large enough and he was not afraid of taking up space. After collecting the equipment, he went to the warehouse where the raw materials were stored. There were some drugs for genetic research. Fortunately, these things were well packaged and could be used. After quickly collecting these things, Ling Feng was ready to go back, and he had just stepped out of the laboratory. He suddenly remembered that Ling Yutong's office seemed to be on the upper floor. Why not go and take a look? Anyway, I'm here. What if I find something? He walked up the stairs to the 89th floor. Ling Yutong's office was in the northwest corner of the entire floor, and it was the largest office in the entire company. He came to the door of Ling Yutong's office and kicked it open. Looking at the luxurious decoration in the office, Ling Feng cursed Ling Yutong again in his heart. In Ling Yutong's office, except for a few safes, there was nothing valuable, basically some antique calligraphy and paintings. Ling Feng was not interested in these. These things were useless in the end times and were not worth a piece of bread. He set his sights on the 3 safes in the distance, hoping that there would be something surprising in them. He used brute force to open one of the safes. There were some documents inside, but they were all contracts and other things, which were useless. He opened the second box, which contained a pistol, dozens of bullets, and some passports. He was a little disappointed that he didn't find anything useful after opening 2 boxes. He set his sights on the third box,